Ready?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. John Anderson.
Yes, sir. I'm here.
Mr. Anderson.
Yes, that's me.
I like that. I like your name. You know, it's like, here's Johnny.
Yes,
Right?
sir.
And then from The Matrix, you know, remember when Agent Smith is talking to Neo, it's Mr. Anderson.
Actually, his name was Tom Anderson.
Yes, it was.
That's my brother.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh, really?
Yeah.
How that's neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, Thomas Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
So how you doing, buddy?
Good.
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 Good. Is your cigar lit?
Needs a little touch.
Huh.
Thank you.
So today, John, we are talking about your passion, your hobby.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man.
I know what's coming. I got it.
No, it's pussy.
Okay.
That's your other hobby.
Oh, all right. Sorry, dear. I won't talk about that today.
You have no choice.
Whoa,
what's going on here? I gotta fix that before we go any further. No, I was. We're gonna talk about. There we go. Goddamn makeshift studio, eh?
Yeah,
There we go. We're
yeah,
good now.
yeah.
We're good now.
Okay.
No, we're gonna talk about hi-fis, because like for people that don't know, you are like what I consider an absolute audiophile, hi-fi, vinyl, LP, turntable nut.
Well, yes, I was originally years ago, but I mean it's kind of old school now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I was at one time in my life I was really interested in it, but you know, I'm an old man now, and it's kind of not something I pursue any further. You know, my age.
Well, yeah, but you're still into it.
Oh yeah, I'm into the music.
Yeah.
I'm into the music a lot, and I was. The thing about the thing that for me was that in the 1970s, I started getting interested in hi-fi.
You are old.
Yeah. But you know, and you gather as much information at the time by talking to people and stuff, and reading hi-fi underground magazines and stuff, and I was really into it at that time. But nothing. I didn't get any knowledge until the computer came along. I mean, you can learn everything about anything on the computer.
Yeah, on the internet.
Yeah. So I learned in the last 20 years. I've learned most of the stuff I've learned has been a lot, and then in my own experience.
Yeah, sure. So like in the pre-internet, I guess it was just harder to find information, just like anything, like any subject.
Oh yeah. You had to listen. You had to gather your information from people who were mystified by it. They were, they didn't. Half the people in those days in hi-fi, people who were into the audiophiles, that you call them. I was never really truly an audiophile. I was interested in hearing good music, but I got into a little bit of the audiophile thing. But audiophiles back in those days, well, even today, even worse, they're kind of airheads, you know. I mean, they just kind of, well, they follow any kind of mysticism or any kind of bullshit that you want to throw at them.
Oh, okay.
And they believe in all sorts of mystified, like voodoo,
like black magic,
black
shit?
magic
like
stuff.
Stuff's gonna make your music
oh,
sound better.
Oh my God, it's gotten just absolutely ridiculous.
Really?
Absolutely ridiculous. Oh man, you can pay thousands of dollars for speaker wire.
Yeah, I've heard this.
And is it going to be any better than the wiring in your house? I mean, people are just nuts.
I've seen a local company that sells speaker wire, and
what a joke.
How much is it? It's like
you can
like
pay
$500 a foot or something. Or
oh, I saw
a
thing where I don't know years ago, 10 years ago, I read on one of the hi-fi mags, Stereophile or one of those, or Absolute Sound, and they talked about the guy was reviewing this speaker wire, and it was like 10-foot lengths, and like something like $30,000 or $50,000 just for the wire, and his conclusion was, yeah, it's really expensive, but if you can afford it, it's worth it. And I thought to myself, what the Sam hell?
Yeah.
I got something here I brought along with me.
Just because you can afford it doesn't mean it's worth it.
Well, they believe in magic. They put little things around the room and stuff, and they have these little things that lift their wires off the ground, so they off the floor, so they don't vibrate and stuff. And they have all these kind of voodoo, the little blocks they put around the room. It can get really crazy. It can
Really?
Oh yeah.
I didn't know it got that crazy.
Oh yeah. They believe in all this kind of what do you call it? Magnetic fields and stuff. And you don't want your wires to vibrate. And anyways, I brought along something that from the 1970s.
Okay.
And if you want me really to talk about stuff, I'm going to talk about this. Okay.
I do.
This is about my turntable.
Okay.
Okay. I don't think you can see it in the camera, so read what that says.
The only good turntable is a dead turntable.
Mitchell A. Cotter.
Mitchell A. Cotter Company Incorporated.
Now, I'll give you a little bit of a story about this. This is an interesting story, actually.
Yeah?
If you're interested in this crap, if you're not, change the channel, okay? Because I don't know how many people are interested.
Well, who gives a fuck?
But
Fuck 'em.
this Mitchell Cotter guy, he originally, I think he was involved in designing the original AR turntable, which was the first
What's that? AR.
Acoustic Research.
Okay.
United
That's the company.
States.
Yeah.
And it was like Thorns and the Lynn are a more sophisticated version of the AR turntable, which is a 3-point suspension spring, suspension with a belt drive with a heavy, massive platter. To smooth out the speed. It was a cheaply built turntable, but it did basically the same thing as a Lynn Sondeck. Basically exactly the same turntable. Mitch Cotter, I believe, helped to design that. He formed his own company, and at that time, especially the British hi-fi press were really promoting the Lynn Sondeck, which is a good turntable. It's a very good turntable from Scotland.
They're expensive. Even a used Lynn now, I'm seeing them for $3,000-$4,000.
Yeah. I got rid of one a few years ago for $300. But anyway, I had one and I got rid of it. But the thing about the Lynn Sondeck is that the guy who developed it, Ivor, I can never say his last name, so I won't. Tevenbaum, he's a Scottish guy. Anyway, he went around, and all the hi-fi press went around saying, that direct drive turntables were no good, that they cogged, that they didn't, they sounded like crap. And if you wanted to have the ultimate turntable, you were to buy a Lynn Sondeck because it rotated with the universe. And, you could hear intersilence and all this. They went on and on. So they had all these people believing this stuff. They had all these people totally sucked into it. And nobody would look at a direct drive turntable. Well, direct drive turntables are superior. Far superior.
Yeah?
Far superior. Absolutely. The thing about
direct... like no wow and flutter or
That's
what?
right. Complete control of the speed right on the button. I mean, as a mechanism, they're not building very many of them today because they'd be so expensive to make. I mean, a belt drive turntable is a cheap way of doing it. If you get into really high-end turntables, like the Rockport $70,000 turntable, made 10 years ago, they don't make them anymore, but they were a direct drive. So what I want to say about direct drive is that people poo-pooed them because they said there was something wrong with them, this cogging and the motor's always searching to correct for speed on the that's all a bunch of. So
okay, so let's go back for 1 second because a lot of people aren't going to know the difference between a direct drive and a belt-driven turntable. So just quickly, the direct drive turntable, the motor sits directly underneath the platter. Yeah, the platter's the part that the LP, the record, goes on. Yeah. Correct?
Yeah.
So the motor just sits under. That's direct drive.
Yeah.
Whereas a belt drive, the motor's to the side, and there's a belt driving and turning the platter.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure because some people won't know.
Yeah.
They don't have the background.
So you could get into the stuff about detail about slippage on the belt and the suspension going up and down, how it loosens and tightens the belt and all kind. So the belt drive turntable has a harder time keeping correct speed because of just the vibration. Everything's about vibration.
Okay.
And so the only good turntable is a dead turntable. So Cotter.
And what he means by that is no vibration, absolutely nothing being transmitted into the stylus.
That's right, because if you play some music loud and you put your hands gently on the wall or on a table, it's vibrating.
Sure.
And what that gets back to, your needle is playing a little wee microscopic thing, and that vibration gets back to the stylus, and it starts to it feeds back more information than
that's on the record.
Yeah. So it muddies up the sound, and so I don't know whether he got pissed off about it or what, Cotter, but he designed I have his B1 turntable, and he designed it isolation. He dropped a Denon or a top of the line Denon or Techniques SP10 into it. I have a DP80 Denon DP80 in mine, with a long fidelity research 12-inch tone arm for proper tracking. So the thing that Cotter did about this here, he went around handing these out at shows, like they have their annual audio shows here and there. Yeah. And I think he developed that turntable for to studios to test lacquers and stuff. They weren't meant for the home. I think there's only about 50 of them made. I happen to have one. The Terry Crabb here in Soundhounds in town here acquired from him in a show in Montreal. So he brought it out here. A friend of mine bought it, and then he finally sold it to me. So the thing about Cotter and this is he went around with this thing to shows, and he presented his turntable at shows saying, look, you people out there.
You fucking idiots.
Yeah, you idiots. It's not about direct drive or belt drive. It's about isolation from vibration. And that's what makes a turntable sound good. And if you want to believe in all the hocus pocus, go ahead and believe in the hocus pocus. But the only good turntable is a dead turntable. That's it. That's the truth. No, and the beautiful thing about the guy, I talked to him on the phone a couple times too. I have his preamp too, which is a beautiful modular built separate stuff. Just a beautiful. I think still the finest preamp in existence. So. I talked to the guy, and he was totally, he's totally scientific. He wasn't anything about mysticism or anything. Everything that he designed for a mechanical reason, not for. And he covered all the bases, like with the preamp. It's shielded. It's all separate boxes for things. It's time coherent. He went into all the kind of developing of all the things that matter.
Yeah.
And. So his stuff is really, really good, and he was. I'll get off this pretty quick.
No, doesn't matter.
No,
Take
but
your
I'm getting beyond what the average person understands.
Doesn't matter. We're gonna educate them, right?
he and a guy named John Curl, who also designed a lot of all electronics for Mark Levinson at that time, and Mark Levinson's system with the quad electrostatic speakers, et cetera, was the system to buy at the time. And both of those guys, I remember reading articles, and there was a Boston Audio Society. They would meet and stuff, and you get a paper on it once a month. And I remember reading Cotter doing a seminar, and he was the first guy to talk about moving coil cartridges. And him and John Curl were the first guys, and everybody's doing it today. He was the first guy to say, hey, you're buying these tone arms for your turntable, and the geometry is all wrong on them. You need to realign the cartridge so that it tracks adjacent to the groove all the way across. So he was the first guy getting people to align their cartridges properly. Because he talked about time dispersion, distortion of the time element in music. So if you align a cartridge properly to the proper specifications, which everybody's doing now, because it's the standard now, but back then it wasn't. And you use his preamp and that with a moving coil cartridge and his step-up transformer, which is absolutely a wonderful piece of equipment, you get actual proper time domain when your music, you get proper time. And it's a very subtle thing. But time is like, you have a sound stage of music, and things are happening in the real world, and it all takes place in time. But when you record it and you disperse the time or change the phase of stuff throughout the bandwidth, things start to shift a little bit, and it's very subtle. It starts to lose a little bit of its reality. And so he was really big on that.
And that's because of the alignment?
So that it traces the groove, both sides of the groove equally.
So it's not picking up from one side sooner than the other side.
That's right, and it causes a distortion.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, I never would have thought that, but it makes sense because the what do you call it? The needle, the stylus.
Yeah.
Picks up. It's just picking up. It's just vibrating inside that groove, right?
Yeah.
So if it was out, It'd be picking up vibration quicker on one side than the other.
Well, I mean, the thing gets really, really crazy. Now you do stuff like azimuth. You do like having the needle. No cartridge is perfect, so the stylus can be a little bit off like that. So you got to be able to turn the head shell. And this is if you're an audiophile.
Yeah.
And then you got to get your proper anti-skating and stuff. And when you get everything work and your vertical tracking angle, the
Yes.
vertical tracking, and if you get all those things
Right.
right, it makes a difference.
Huh. Okay.
Subtle.
Sure.
So that's that.
Okay. Well, that's a wrap.
So that's that. So,
So,
you
yeah.
know, I mean, belt drive turntables are very good.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. So, so this guy here, what's his name?
Mitch Cotter.
Mitch Cotter. His turntable's a direct drive turntable?
Well, he didn't design the turntable.
Oh, he didn't.
No.
What did he design?
He designed the suspension and the base for it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so whose guts was he using?
He used at that time Techniques
Yeah.
motor and what they call SP10, and you could
That's
buy
a Techniques motor?
Yeah, it's just you could buy it without a base,
Oh, okay.
and you could and so he developed this. He designed this layer of steel and this dampening material that he got from NASA or someplace that changes vibration into heat.
Right.
And so it's like 100-pound slab. Then he made a little base for the motor out of aluminum, with a little bit of more of the blue stuff that dissipates.
Yeah, I know this stuff. They use it for sound deadening now all over.
Yeah, and then he mounted that, and then the big huge arm board and stuff, and then the arm, and then on three springs.
Right.
And he used the Denon. I had the Denon DP80. Again, you're looking at build. You're looking at probably the DP80 and the Techniques would sound identical on that turntable.
Mm.
It's not about the sound. It's about your choice of. They were both really. Like back in those days, you'd pay $400. I remember my brother bought a Lynn Sondeck for $450. The Denon to mount into my Cotter turntable was $1,000.
Just the motor.
Yeah. Well, motor and platter.
Motor and platter.
And controls and stuff.
Yeah.
It came in its own little thing. Cotter had to dismantle it and take all the circuit boards and fit it into his thing.
Yeah.
So his turntable was about, I think at that time, was about $4,000 compared to $450 for a Cotter, for
a Lynn.
For a Lynn.
Wow, 10 times what the Lyns were.
He told me over the phone, the guy was so down to earth. I said, he said, buy my turntable. I said, why? And he said, well, the only real difference between any turntable is the lower mid-range and the bass. And he said, most turntables don't clean that up. He said, the only difference between all other turntables do from the mid-range up the same. Basically, he said, but it's that in that area of resonance in the lower frequencies which screw up everything. So he said, yeah, the only thing my turntable does different is it isolates lower deep
frequency,
lower frequencies way better than anything else.
Huh.
Way better than anything else. So it's like, so I think it's still the best turntable in the world ever built. And these guys now, they're building. It's ridiculous. These guys, they're building. I mean, shit, man. You should go. You should go on. You can go on the internet and look up new turntables. I mean, people are paying thousands of dollars, $150,000 for a turntable, and they have these great big granite platters with a little tiny thin belt, and they have all these kind of weird designs that that it's just.
No,
they're in search of something they'll never ever accomplish because Cotter did it already.
Right.
And from what I read on the internet, people regard it as but there's only I read a guy recently on the internet from Italy of all places who was saying on the internet, have you ever seen or heard one of these things? Asking people if they'd ever seen or even heard of one of these things.
And you respond?
I don't bother.
Why not? You should have. You should have said, "But yeah, I've got one in my den."
I'm too computer stupid to know how to answer. You got to join a
Yeah,
thing,
you got to
know.
join a news group or a.
I couldn't be bothered with that. I just get a laugh out of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next subject, I know what's on your mind. The next subject you want to ask me about.
You're a mind reader now? God
Yeah.
damn,
Well, you asked me yesterday.
Did I? What did I ask you? Are we done talking about turntables?
Yeah, now we're going to talk about CD players and digital.
Oh yes, digital. Yeah, we're gonna cover every aspect of the music
Yeah.
enjoyment. Music enjoyment.
I got a question for you, Louis.
Uh-huh.
Has anybody turned to you and interviewed you?
No, not
Why
yet.
the hell are you doing this?
Everybody asks me that. Why am I
you-
doing this?
Have you said it on the? Have you said why on here?
Well, people have asked me, and I don't really have a good answer. I'm not sure why I'm doing it.
I'm dealing with a moron here.
What? I don't know.
I've learned to shoot back, haven't I?
Yeah, you're good. You see, such a fucking pussy. I liked you better back then.
Hey, did I give it to Shelley a couple of weeks ago? You were there.
Did you? I don't know.
Yeah.
Did I? Did
I
you?
told him there's a spot on the car. There's a door that he was all.
Oh yeah. Why am I doing this? I'm doing this. I'm doing this to create and maintain a community around my business. I
Okay.
think that would be the most concise one sentence thing, right?
I see.
So it's my business, the tobacco business, the cigar business. It's about community and relationships.
Oh yeah, I know.
Right?
I know. Yeah, yeah.
You know
It's
what I mean.
about sharing
Yeah.
with the public.
Yeah.
Knuckleheads that smoke with you.
Yeah.
Okay,
And,
I'll try not to be too full.
No. You know what? We can have fun. It's good. I'm happy.
All right.
Yeah, like I think if I had to one sentence it'd be to keep the community, the cigar smoking community, together.
Yeah.
It's a way for me to get to know my customers,
Okay.
right? It's a way for my customers to get to know other customers. It's a way for us to discuss stuff, just
Right.
general topics.
Yeah.
And I think, and to circle back around, and I think that that's going to keep Goodfellas
Yeah.
kind of like a social hub,
Oh, okay.
right?
Yeah.
You know, we don't have a smoking room. We don't have like a lot of gatherings and events and stuff anymore. COVID and the fucking government and the just government and all their bullshit rules
Yeah.
constantly pushing us down and trying to put us out of business. This is, I feel like, the best vehicle for me and for many business owners just to keep a community going, you know? Because really, what separates me from any other cigar store in the world? Nothing. We all have the same cigars. We can all have the same lighters and cutters. We all, you know what I mean? There's price differences, but it's the community. It's the friends, the people that come around, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's why I'm doing it.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's really good. I really like Terry and I were talking yesterday, and he said it to me a couple times, and I know that Bill said it to me years ago that our cigar group is almost like a men's.
It's like your therapy.
Therapy group.
Yeah.
We get together and we so I know all these guys, and I've often got paranoid about quitting smoking and stuff like that, and I can't because I love hanging out with you guys.
It's the social part of it. Yeah.
I love hanging out with you guys.
Yeah, and there's not a lot of guys that you and I smoke with on a regular basis, right?
No. Well,
So I'd like to expand that, not as far as getting together, having cigars in our buddies' garages and stuff, but I'd like to expand the community part of it. So like, people could check in on YouTube and see what's going on here, what's happening here. And I'd like to expand on this channel too. I'd like to get the product knowledge and general thoughts and cigar news and stuff like that, just to really keep everyone together,
Yeah.
We got something special.
Yep.
We got something special in our in the cigar groups that we have, that the guys that we've met and the friendships
Yeah. So
we made.
guys that come in your store aren't just strangers to one another. Like,
Yeah.
one guy comes in and buys it for himself and walks out and says, "Okay, I bought my cigar there, and I'll go home privately and smoke by myself."
Yeah.
You got
Now that's fine if a guy
little
wants
bit
to
of-
do that, but if a guy wants to be
Yeah,
part
so-
of the community, he can.
Yeah. So you're sharing
Yeah.
your business with people, and it's good for your business too.
Yeah, well, it's really good for the business. Yeah. And, no one else is doing that. Not in town. Not in Victoria. No one else is kind of keeping the cigar community together that I can see.
Oh, I see.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if it's got to be me, then fuck it.
Yeah,
Got to be me.
This
I
is
mean,
great.
not everyone's going to like me or like my store or like this podcast but
Yeah.
I'm just doing the best I can.
Yeah, I just wonder who is going to watch it.
Well, I don't know.
It's interesting. It's an experiment, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know who's going to watch it because, right now my channel is in its infancy.
Yeah.
But so videos are getting between 100 and 250 views. Well, 250 views, I don't know 250 people.
Okay, so somebody's watching.
So somebody
Somebody's watching.
Somebody's watching.
Somebody's watching us lugheads.
Not a lot of people, but there's a few guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now this show is available on Spotify as well. So if anyone is listening to online music, now I know you're not a big fan of online music because you like music to use an experience.
Yeah.
But a podcast is like background noise.
Yeah.
Right? So if a guy wants to, it should be on Apple iTunes. I think it's called, Apple iTunes or I know what the hell they call it. Apple Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. It's on Spotify. It's on Anchor, and it's on a few other, podcast networks.
Yeah.
So you could tune it in on your smartphone or on your your satellite radio, shit like that.
Yeah, and I know nothing about any of that.
Yeah,
stuff.
that's all good. Yeah, you're old school, like you said.
I have a phone at home. That's it.
Yeah. You have a home telephone.
I've got a
Does it still have
computer.
a fucking cord from the headset to the base?
No. But you know what? I got a computer. My wife uses it, and I just I Google something or I take messages. That's about it. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's okay, man. It doesn't matter.
No,
Like,
I know it doesn't
it
matter.
doesn't-
I'm just letting you people know that
that you're low tech.
I'm low tech.
You're analog.
Here I am.
You're analog. I'm digital.
Here I am talking about the tech of hi-fi and stuff, and shit, man, I don't even know how to operate my DVD player. It's too
Now,
modern.
how do you
It's too modern.
how do you watch a TV show and record a different show at the same time?
I got a TELUS thing. You just talk into the mic. Talk into the into your
Remote?
remote. Yeah, it's wonderful. So it just does everything for me.
Beautiful.
So now,
So this is why I'm doing it, I guess.
yeah, well,
And and soon, I really hope soon, maybe even later today, I'm gonna do a couple of demos on how to light a cigar, maybe how to cut a cigar, and I'm gonna start uploading those to the channel too. So it's gonna be it's gonna be like,
an educational thing.
yeah, it's gonna be like our discussions, and then it's gonna be like some cigar knowledge, pipe and pipe tobacco knowledge and stuff. So the only thing is, it fucking takes a lot of time. Holy Moses! By the time you do the video, you download it into your PC. I don't really edit. I just kind of intro, outro, and just quickly put it together and then upload it. It takes a lot of hours,
I'm sure it does.
It does. It takes a lot of hours. I got to retire from my normal job so I can just be
Yeah, you must be a busy guy.
be a host. Well, I'm busy enough. Yeah, I wouldn't want to take on another project right now.
Well, you got
But
family, job, and
I got
everything. else,
family, a job, and the little
Doing this,
podcast.
doing
Yeah,
this.
this podcast is
No time for music.
no time for music. I never sit down and listen to music.
No, it's too bad.
I know. I used to when I was younger.
Yeah. So let's get back to that.
Let's get back to music
Speaking
because I know you love music.
Well,
If anyone hasn't figured this out yet, John loves music.
Well, my dad was a singer.
Oh, he was.
Yeah, he was
Where was your dad from?
from England.
Oh, okay.
He sang when he was a child in a Brompton Oratory choir, and it was quite famous, like the Vienna Boys Choir and stuff. And he was a really great singer. He was a tenor.
Yeah.
And he came to Alberta, and there was nothing. He there was a little bit of opera society and stuff there, but he had a family, so he went to doing church choir. You know, he'd be direct choir, and he would do solos and stuff in the church, and he did really sophisticated music with just average people in a choir, and he would teach them how to do Handel and stuff. And they had one of the nicest choirs in the city of Edmonton. And so my dad was really into music. And when I was a kid, he just stuck a hi-fi in my bedroom and said, "Here, you know," and we were constantly listening to class. He was a classical guy, but he wasn't into rock and roll or anything.
Sure, that's fine.
So anyway, and all my brothers and sisters, they're all, you know, they all have good hi-fis. So they're all into music. They're really into music. But I want to talk about this nonsense that people talk about. It's like, you know, if you look at the Democrats and the Republicans right now, down in
Go Trump 2020.
you know, it's the same thing about vinyl versus digital.
So are the Republicans vinyl or are they digital?
No. It just means that one side does not recognize or understand the other side.
Right.
There's people out there. I know people out there who had Lynn Sondek's family member. My brother had a Lynn Sondek, and my sister had a really nice system deck turntable. They had really nice, good hi-fi sets, and another friend that had a Lynn Sondek, acquaintance of mine. And when CDs came in, digital came in, they dumped their turntables. This is it. Digital's the answer. And, you know, the media, just like they bullshit about Trump, and, you know, the media talk Trump down. Well, the media built up digital as being the end-all, be-all.
Yes.
And so everybody went from there to there, from the records to digital.
Right, from analog to digital.
Yeah, so the thing about... I mean, I've sat and talked to people like my brother, and, you know, the guy doesn't get it. I mean, people don't get it. The thing about there's a technical reason about why CDs don't sound as good as they should, and that's to do with the sampling rate and all that kind of stuff that doesn't follow the high frequencies as well. The Nyquist theory, you're supposed to double you're supposed to do the frequency response and double it by the time the number of sampling rate and stuff. So it's 44,000 or whatever it is. And then they went to 96,000. And the thing is that, according to Mitch Cotter, a paper I read on his, it should be up around 1 million, because with the way it is right now, it can follow a high-frequency signal. But when high-frequency signals or mid-range high-frequency signals get really complicated, a lot of stuff going on, it starts to lose it. It doesn't track it.
Digital?
That's right. And so when people originally listened to CDs, digital recordings, the first reaction I heard people from around me saying was, "Geez, it sounds kind of cold, flat, dead." And everybody was dumping. And the only reason I didn't dump mine is because I looked around my room and I saw 3,000 or 4,000 records, and I thought, I'll never replace those in CD. So I didn't do it out of any sort of
insight or
no, I didn't have any sort of reason. But now that people have gone digital like they have, I would go over to my people's houses and put on a CD that would put a CD on, and I'd sit there and be completely like, you know, here, I'll explain it to you. It's very simple, and you either get it or you don't get it. When I sit and listen to a CD, it sounds two-dimensional. Like, you know how you...
Yeah, I've heard this before from other people.
But the thing about CDs is it's more vivid, it's more neutral. Records sound more colored, and they sound more colorful. And so the CDs, they kind of just... like, you know, you hear a saxophone that's recorded digitally, it sounds beautiful, like a real saxophone. It sounds... And it's more natural sounding, more neutral sounding than a record. It just blows the records away in so many ways. But the problem is that people don't realize is that if you put a CD on a cheap stereo or keep it at a background listening level, it's fine. You turn it up on a reasonable stereo. It doesn't have to be an audiophile, a reasonable stereo, and you turn it up to, say, close to the level that it should be heard at. You start to hear that the upper frequencies are in your face. There's too much of them.
It's kind of bright.
No, I wouldn't call it bright, but it's aggressive. And what I find is that when I sit and listen to digital, I kind of tense up. My body naturally, in a very subtle way. It's all very extremely subtle. When I listen to a record, I go, that's beautiful. And my mind can go into the sound field and and everything's kind of three-dimensional and solid. So I recognized right away that people who are really gung-ho for digital CDs, I mean, there's nothing wrong with them really, but they're missing information. Is that people would say to me, I'd go over to their house and they'd say, I want you to hear this CD. It's really good. It's a really good recording. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You come over to my place and I play your record and I'll say, this is beautiful music. I don't think about the recording. When I play records, because some of them are bad, some of them are good, but that's not the important thing. The important thing is the enjoyment of music. And when I listen to and it's not about what you hear or anything. It's how you feel, how the music makes you feel. I mean, I'll put a record on and that, some symphony that's really good, Shostakovich or something like that. And sometimes I find myself, after it's coming to the end, I'm hooting and hollering. Or I might put a recording on, I might even have a few tears in my eyes because it's moved me.
Yeah.
With CDs, I put the damn thing on and I'm about 20 minutes into it and I want to take it off. It just leaves me cold. And sorry, folks out there, that's the truth.
Well, whatever.
And, but people will rant and rave and say that, CDs are perfect, and you're. Oh, and the other thing they say is that records sound. The reason people like records is because they distort more and they sound warmer. No, that's not. It's not about how it sounds. It's how the music feels to you. I put a piano on just a piano piece on a CD, and there's a beautiful piano there. You can see the piano. But if I put a record on, a good recording of a record piano, I'll sit back in my chair and I'll relax. And I'll actually start to imagine that I'm hearing a real piano in my room by the sound of it, by the tone of it. Whereas a piano on a CD sounds dry and it's very detailed, looks, feels. That's a piano. It's a good recording of a piano, but it doesn't. You don't get that. You don't what they call harmonics. The harmonics, the dynamic harmonics of it. The thing that makes you feel good about music. The thing that gives you goosebumps. That sort of thing. And the drama and the intensity of the music is missing. I mean, you get all that stuff to some degree on CDs, but
so like if a guy wants to go out and spend $1,000 on a stereo system, speakers, amp, and a CD player,
yeah,
he's going to be better off doing that than going out and buying speakers, an amp, and a record player. No.
Well,
just say in the $1,000 range because you're not.
Well,
you're not spending.
You can buy $1,000 stereo with a turntable, but you're going to be paying $50 for your amplifier and $25 for your records, kind of thing.
Yeah, no.
So you got to be able to put some money into a turntable before it becomes.
Well, that's just okay. So this is my point now. So my question is to you: if a guy,
Yeah.
Guy, gal, whatever, wants to buy like a stereo system, just a cheapy stereo system.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you be better just going with a CD player?
Yeah.
Probably, right?
Yeah.
Like, because where are you going to get comfortable into,
Well, if you listen to music while you're doing the dishes, it's great.
Yeah.
It's no problem. But if you sit down and you want to experience the music the way that...
I mean, you sit down and listen to music like some people sit down and watch TV, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a thing for you. Like it's like watching a movie.
Yeah, if somebody comes in my room, which is rare because I like to... There's not much room there, but I like to... I don't like to talk.
Yeah, no, fair enough. No, because you're listening to the music.
Yeah. I let the music... I get involved in... I listen to a lot of classical as well as rock and roll and stuff and jazz and that.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So... back to my point, if someone just wants to spend $1,000, $1,500 on a stereo system, they're better off just going digital.
Well, yeah, and for the other thing is what you pay for records today, it's ridiculous. Mm-hmm. And if I was a young person starting out right now, I wouldn't buy a turntable and records. No.
No.
Well, what?
Too much money?
Well, yeah. You go into a...
I know. $50 for an LP? It's like, what are you thinking?
Well, you can buy the new ones for like 30,
yeah.
25, 30, but they're digitally recorded anyway. So
talk to me about that. Digitally recorded like LP record? How does that work? I thought records were supposed to be an analog medium.
They are, but they've been digitally mastered first.
For how long has that been going on?
I don't know, since digital came, since the
Like 20 years, sort of thing.
yeah. I don't know of any. There's maybe the odd thing that's being done analog, but I don't think very much of it's being done. I mean, I could be wrong about it. I don't know, but I've asked people and I've looked into it and stuff like that, and you can't get a straight answer out of people. If you go down to Ditch Records and ask them, do you think this has been remastered analog and digital? And they look at you and say, probably digital. You know, if you're buying a new.
Oh, because they don't. Yeah.
Yeah. So but what I gather, generally speaking, that and anything new that comes out, like if somebody releases a new album, like I bought Dylan's new album on record, and I don't know why I bought it on record, because the CD's just as good. And that's the other thing that was interesting for me too, that made me realize about that, is that I used to take records and then compare it to a remastered CD of that record, like an original analog record from the 70s that's been put onto CD.
Yes.
And I'll play the record, and then I'll play the CD, and it sounds different.
Oh.
If I take a digitally recorded record today and play the CD, it sounds the same.
Oh, I see.
So if the analog is sounding different on CD, that means it's changed. It's been modified slightly.
Yes.
But if you take an analog a record that's digital and play the CD and they sound the same, it means nothing has changed. So obviously, in that case, records have to be superior. Because if CDs are that good, they should sound the same as the original record, shouldn't they?
They should.
They don't.
So if you have an old pressing vinyl analog, and then you get the CD of the same album, they don't sound the same.
No. But yet, if you buy
what doesn't sound the same? Do you know? Can you pinpoint it?
Just doesn't sound the same. It's again, this flatter, blah blah blah, and they've remastered it and stuff. What really makes me laugh is, I hope my brother watches this sometime. I'm going to tell him about it. What really makes me laugh is that these guys, people who say, "Oh man, listen, you got to get the new Beatles albums. They've remastered Sgt. Pepper. It's so much better. It's so much better," And
What's better?
Well, apparently the Beatles did it in mono originally, which is supposed to be the best. But when they were out of the studio, some engineers in a couple hours transformed it to stereo, and they did a really poor job of it. So most of us bought the stereo recording. And so the son of the guy who originally mastered it, I forget his name. He remastered it the way the Beatles would like it to have sounded in stereo.
In stereo or in mono?
In both.
Okay.
And so the best one is in mono, Sgt. Pepper's. If you want to get an original mono, is the best. So anyway, I get all psyched up about this. And people, you got to buy this, man. You got to buy this. So I go and buy the vinyl version of the new Sgt. Pepper's. And the bass CDs do well on bass. They do fine on bass. So, you put this thing on and, there's a little more bigger, more solid drums. And things are, a little bit more forward and stuff like that. But what they do is they do a lot of this Hendrix and all this remastering, and people go crazy. Well, it's more vivid, it's more detailed, and they somehow, they just modify the frequency. If you modify a frequency response just slightly, it'll change the whole sound of something. And so I find that they soup these records up, and so you put the remastered on, and it's like, yeah, that's good. Oh, that's good. Oh, yeah, hey, vivid. Oh, big drums. Yeah, like that's really. Oh, I can really. It's more. Better. And then you go and put the old-fashioned, old kind of smoky sounding record that's not quite doesn't have all that vivid sound to it, which is all a bunch of cranked up. You put the old record on, smooth. You go like this, that's nice.
Nah.
And it may not like digital kind of flies in your face. Like it's all this,
Right.
it's all, like this. But you can't hear into the music like you can with records.
Right. So I mean, I never grew up with LPs. I've been threatening to get a record player for many years. I've got some vinyl. I've got a cheap old record player, but I remember the similar thing because I always listened to I listened to cassette tapes, which were terrible in my opinion. I never really liked
No,
the
they
sound.
were bad. They're bad. Yeah.
They're bad, yeah.
They're
then,
like they're like CDs.
well, then I went to CD.
Mm-hmm.
But then in my days, what was big is downloading music on MP3, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how like these music services are now where you stream music and stuff. I don't know about the quality, but I'll tell you, the first time I used to listen to a bunch of MP3s, and a lot of them are really bad quality. And I remember the first time I was listening to, I can't remember, it might have been Ella Fitzgerald or something, and I
I love Ella.
yeah, but I had her on CD, right? So I'm listening to it on CD, and I don't know what it sounds like on vinyl. I've never heard any of her on vinyl, but I remember listening to her on MP3 and then going to CD, and I couldn't believe the amount of information I wasn't getting
Yeah, it's not as good.
from the MP3s to the CD.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it's the same sort of thing from CD to vinyl, just more information on vinyl in a way. I guess it's not really more information.
No,
it's just a
it's-
different way
Well,
of presenting
the
it.
way Mitch Cotter described it in this thing is the harmonic dynamics are more correct. So some of the harmonics are missing,
Okay.
and that's like when you talk about harmonics, you're talking about when you're at a live performance, you're hearing the sounds off the walls, you're hearing the textures of the music and stuff, and the thing that makes you excited, the thing that makes you feel really good about the music. And let me tell you, it's really subtle.
Yeah.
Because I've sat down and listened to a CD, and I get out of my chair to go and take a record off. So it's like it's very subtle.
Right.
It's not about this sounds better than that. It's about what makes you feel good when you listen to the music. And I find that the records make me relax, and CDs don't. They just it's like on a roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
They're too
Too much. Yeah. I mean, I've got streaming music, and I've got integrated speakers in my house and stuff. And that's great because you can put on a playlist and you've got 3 hours of music or 2 hours of music, and you're doing housework or you're entertaining guests. And it's great for that.
Yeah.
But it's, I don't know. I guess.
It's fine. CDs in its own world is fine. I'm not saying that I'm just saying they're not as good.
So your brother got rid of his,
Oh, yeah.
his,
Lynn Zondeck. He sold it to me.
oh, he sold
And
it
gave
to
me
you.
a beautiful record collection.
Oh.
Which is
I was
just-
going to say, has he got that shit still lying around?
I have stuff, British stuff like the Stones and Beatles and stuff. My brother is 10 times more of a music guy than me. He collected stuff from Britain that people didn't even hear about here. He was a real British guy.
Okay.
And I got beautiful British vinyl recordings of, like from Britain, not Canadian stuff. He gave me some wonderful records.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah. And the other thing that's very sad. Thanks for telling me about it, Mitch. The other thing that's very sad, and I read a paper on it. There's a place down in San Francisco called the Estendig Institute, and they do research into sound, vibration, and how it affects people and stuff. And I talked to the guy on the phone and stuff. He's a friend of Mitch Cotter's, and they did this paper together about CDs. And the sad thing about it is, the people, for one thing, records don't wear out. I have records that are 50 years old.
They don't wear out?
No, that's all bullshit. It's if you have a bad stylist playing them, if you
Yeah.
don't take care of them. CDs don't last forever. They have a life range of up to 50 years.
Oh.
And so the other thing about this is all this modern classical music and stuff that you're buying nowadays.
It's fucked. 50 years, it's gone.
Because like CDs, the way they're recorded, you can't take them and make them like records. I mean, you can't refurbish them, bring them into. So all these decades of, like this records that you have from decades ago, that's you have there's a vast collection of history and music on records that's absolutely beautiful. But since the CDs came in, it's missing information. You're not getting the real feeling of the performance that the artist is performing for you, especially classical. I won't even listen to a lot of classical CDs. You're missing the feeling of that, so that now they can't take CDs and say, "Oh, this didn't work, so we can take this Van Karian recording or whatever that was done digitally and make it into an analog recording." They can't do that. They can never restore them. So you may as well take your CDs and throw them in the garbage. Historically,
Right. Right.
do you get what I mean?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. They're not a permanent. They're not permanent.
But I mean, you can't fix the things that are wrong with them. And
Right.
you can't make them sound like records. They are the way they are, and that's the way they are.
What are the masters like nowadays? Do they have good masters still that they could?
Oh, I'm sure they do. It's all done digitally.
It's all
You know,
digital now, though.
Sony, you know, digital. I mean, people make great.
What's Sony? That's the digital audio tape.
Yeah, I get no. I
What do they
no,
use?
They
They're
do a
not using that
bitstream
no
thing.
more.
I don't even know if they use tape anymore.
I don't know if they use.
I'm not sure how they do it, and I don't care. And but people, you know, people make good recordings on CD in their own home and stuff. I mean, you know.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, I mean, with this little mixing board here and these two mics, you could do an okay little recording.
Yeah, and the thing is, there's nothing that, you know, really, there's nothing. You know, there's nothing terribly wrong with them, except for the fact that they're just not. They're not. I don't know how to say it.
Well, it's not your preference for one.
Yeah, I don't want to sound like I'm a fanatic about it. You know.
Yeah. No,
I
you're
listen.
not.
I listen to CDs. I buy new Van Morrison CDs and stuff like that, and they're fine. They're
Yeah.
absolutely fine, and I don't get in my head about it. You know, I listen to them, and they're wonderful to listen to and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But if I spend an evening listening to CDs, I'm tired. I'm you know, and then I put on a record and I go, oh, so
So it does something to you.
yeah.
Yeah.
So because I love music, I'll listen to it on any format I can get it on,
Right.
and I'm not going to whine about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying that I prefer records.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So I always like to look around at turntables and stuff, and on Canuck Audio or use Vic or whatever, just for shits and giggles, really.
Yeah.
And I've seen some Thorns. I see some old Thorns like the 160.
Yeah, that's a very good turntable.
Um,
That's as good as a Lin, basically.
Interesting.
Basically, there's not much. I mean,
You'd have to change the tone arm.
yeah. Well, I'm not sure. I'm not really that knowledgeable about it. I've never actually owned one. I know people who, but some of the tone arms you can buy. Yeah, you can buy a Thorn. They sold them with their own.
With their own tone arm.
Or you could buy it to put your own tone arm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it came two different ways, and I think that their tone arm that they came with for somebody like you was absolutely fine. I mean, they were good tone arms, but
Yeah.
they weren't audiophile, you know.
Right.
But they were really good.
Yeah,
They weren't-
yeah. I noticed that Dual has some direct drive turntables. Are those any good?
I doubt it.
You doubt it?
See, it's the isolation again.
Ah, right.
See, like before I had, I'll tell you about two turntables. Direct drive.
Okay.
The only two direct drive turntables besides mine, in your price range, I'd buy used is there's the SPS, the Techniques S 1200 something.
Something 1200, yeah.
1200, and that was the one that they used for a lot of DJing.
DJing, yes.
Yeah, those turntables are really heavy, and they're solidly built, and they're well damped, and they're not perfect because they can sound a little edgy up top, and the arms aren't perfect on them. They're not perfect, but they're really good. I mean, I've read on the internet some people got rid of their Lin Sondek to have one of those.
Oh.
Because the direct drives, some people say, again, mysticism, some people say that they have a little more drive to them. They're a little more, whereas belt drives are a little softer sounding, they don't have the punch that, the dynamic thing that, and the other turntable I tried to tell you about was that I owned before the one I have now. And I had a very good tone arm on it. I had a Fidelity Research tone arm on it. And it was sort of, when it first came out, the Absolute Sound said it was better than Lin Sondek. And then other people started doing this shitting on the direct drive thing. Oh no, it can't possibly sound as good as Lynn's on deck. Kenwood KD500.
Yeah, the KD500.
It's an ugly looking beast. I mean, it's not the
They're
prettiest.
ugly.
Not the
They're
prettiest.
ugly, but they're available. You can probably $500 or $600.
It weighs about 40 pounds. It's really quite acoustically dead, and it's a direct drive. It doesn't even have quartz lock, so that its speed's fine, but it's not quartz lock. And I owned that turntable for years, and I had a Cotter isolation base underneath it, suspension underneath it. But that turntable, you can pick them up for $200 or $300. That turntable, it sounds great. The guy that I bought the B1.
There's one for sale right now with a Grace tone arm, and
I owned that very turntable.
They're like $1,400.
Grace turn. How much?
$1,400 for a KD500 with a Grace tone arm.
That's crazy.
Is that expensive?
Yeah, I thought they'd run around $500.
Not with a Grace tone arm.
Yeah, I owned
the stock tone arm.
I had
you
a Grace.
can get it for about $500.
That was my first tone arm on the Kenwood KD500.
Oh, okay.
But when I bought the Cotter one, I sold my Kenwood. I lent my Kenwood to my friend that sold me the Cotter. And he sold me the Cotter one because it was going off speed and he couldn't fix it, and I fixed it. So I gave him my Kenwood with the Fidelity Research tone arm on it, and he absolutely loves it. And he's an audiophile. He absolutely loves it. Nice. Absolutely loves it. He owned a Kenwood before he owned the Cotter, and he owned a Lynn Sondek. He got rid of his Lynn Sondek and bought the Kenwood.
Really?
Years ago. Oh yeah. Lynn Sondek's a good turntable.
But people make it sound like it's the end-all, be-all.
They do, because they bought into the press. It's like Trump. Everybody believes Trump's a bad guy. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm not saying I'm all for Trump or anything, but I'm just saying, it's like bullshit. Bullshit.
I like the way you
bullshit. Louis, bullshit baffles brains.
But you're relating turntables to Trump.
No, I'm just in the sense that people get. I know
people get
brainwashed.
People get
whatever's fashionable.
Yeah.
Whatever buzzword is going around. Bottom line is, at the end of the day, whatever's popular with people, and that goes with the new racist thing that's going on.
Trump 2020.
No, the new racist thing about pointing fingers. Oh, you're a racist and you're doing this and you're doing. It's all about. It's a trend.
Yeah.
It's a trend.
Yeah.
It's a fashion. And people, I talk to my son about that lots, and he says, well, people are learning not to be racist, like for my children's sake and stuff like that. And I said to my son, you
never raised your son racist.
No, but I said to him, they're trying to do it politically. They're trying to do it like, I'm saying to him, people are never going to change. The Nazis did the Jews. Somebody else does somebody else. I hate you because you're bald. We're never going to stop. We're never going to stop.
We have gotten a lot better, though, as a society.
We're fooling ourselves.
You think so?
Oh, definitely.
Get out of here.
No,
as far as a society goes, we're much more accepting and open-minded and caring of our fellow man, whatever color they are or gender. Or
yeah, well, that's why the guy in town here had that car with the American car parked in town here. The license plate stole off of it, and you're a Trump lover. I mean, what's that?
Yeah, that's no fucking.
Is that clean people saying, "Oh, we're not racist or we're not prejudiced"?
No, well, Canadians have a really bad habit of thinking that they're better than Americans.
I didn't know that.
You don't think so?
I always thought we felt inferior to them.
No, I think we have an inferiority complex because they're like our bigger, powerful brother sort of thing. But I think a lot of Canadians, a lot of us walk around. Oh yes, we're so woke and so righteous, and
I don't feel that way. We're more socialist than they are.
Yeah, which I don't really love.
Yeah,
but I don't mind social programs, but I'm still for a free market system.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I used to be very socialist, but I'm like NDP and stuff. But I came to the conclusion, as an old fellow that I am, that I don't like any of the parties.
Yeah, right?
I mean, truly, I don't like any of them. Voting for a guy that you know nothing about just because he looks good on TV.
Yeah, no.
And because the CBC tells you that he's, that he's this, that. And, don't vote for that guy because he's a jerk.
Well, you can't always listen to the CBC.
We never really left high school. Voting for class president. That's what it's all about.
Popularity contest.
I believe that, I believe that. And I don't think one party does anything for anybody. They're just supposed to run the country is what they're supposed to do.
Do you know what the most important election you can vote in is? Your municipal election.
Really?
Yeah, because the
don't get me started there.
Oh my God. No. But you know what? You know what though? Like your municipal government, your local government, they're the ones that'll affect your life the most out of anybody.
Yeah.
More than the provincial government or the feds.
Yeah.
So you got to vote for your local city government. That's your most important thing. That's where you should be most educated and most up to speed on policy and their belief system, because a local government, I mean, look what's going on in Victoria right now. That's all City Hall. That's not the province doing that or the feds doing that. That's City Hall.
Yeah.
So knowing who you're voting for at the city level, that's your most important vote.
But they're all crooks. It doesn't matter who you vote for.
I don't know. I don't know if the city politicians are crooks per se.
No, I don't.
Because they're pretty grassroots,
yeah,
right?
They are. Lisa helps. She's trying to help everybody.
Lisa fucking helpless.
That's how she got in, because of her name.
Oh, Christ.
That's what my wife says anyway.
Is that what... I don't know. She didn't get in on her based on her looks. That's for goddamn sure.
This is going public here.
Fucking rights it is.
Don't say that.
What do you mean?
You're not allowed to. Finger pointers get you.
Oh, fuck. I'm not fat shaming her.
No.
She's not fat.
No.
I'm just saying she's not the prettiest woman I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I mean, you wouldn't kiss her, would you?
Turn that thing off. I don't want to go to jail.
I don't think she'd kiss us anyway. I think she's gay, isn't she? She's not going to kiss no dudes. I thought she was gay.
I don't know anything about that.
Either do I.
I just know that.
I thought she was gay.
I just know that.
She's not going to kiss some ugly fucks like us.
I just know that I'm pissed off about one thing.
What's that? Bike lanes?
That waste of money,
Yeah. And people camping in our public parks.
No, what really pisses me off is I own an older car, a Japanese car that has a standard transmission.
Manual trans, yeah.
Manual transmission, and they've changed the speed limits to 40K. So I gotta drive all through town in second gear, because in second gear I'm revving the engine too much at 40K.
And in third, it's a little low.
Lugging it, and so it's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, why do you have to go Bay Street at 40K?
I know.
I mean, there's
it's a main street.
It's a main street. Why do you have to go Shelbourne 40K?
Yeah.
I mean, or Pandora, any of those. Their houses, they're way off. There's nobody walking. It's
they're crazy. They want to shut Douglas Street down. That's the Highway 1. That's the main highway. That's part of the Trans-Canada, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Am I right or am I wrong? I'm right. That's Highway 1.
No, the Trans-Canada heads up Island.
But that's Douglas Street that turns into the Trans-Canada, right?
No, you come in through the Pat Bay and it turns up.
No, the fucking Pat Bay goes to the ferries.
No, but coming in on Highway 1, you go when you turn up to go up Island. That's still Highway number 1.
Yeah, so Douglas Street turns into Highway 1.
No, going up Island is Highway 1.
Yeah.
They can't both be Highway 1, can they?
Well, what does Douglas Street turn into?
Douglas Street.
And then it just keep going and it turns into Highway 1, no?
If you're coming into town?
Out of town.
Out of town. Oh, I don't know. Because Highway 1 comes from the ferry crossing Canada and goes up.
No, that's 17.
Oh, that's still Highway 1 though, isn't it?
No, I don't think so. You're all fucked up. Where do you live? God damn it!
I was born in.
Yeah, you're not from here. Okay, so let me tell you. Pat Bay, that's 17.
Yeah.
1, that's Blanchard. Because you're coming in on 17, you go straight in, it turns into Blanchard.
Oh, okay.
Coming down Highway 1, that's Douglas.
That's right. That's because they got the 0 mile.
Yeah. So now Douglas Street, that's part of Highway 1. That's part of the Trans-Canada Highway. And the fucking city council in Victoria wants to shut that down from traffic from Saanich Road south to I don't know where and make it a walking area.
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you get into the city if you take away the main road that goes into the fucking city?
Yeah.
Like, so you can't come from Up Island into the city anymore?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
And one of my
some kooky
one
ideas.
of my favorite things is when cyclists ride in front of your car in the middle of the road so you can't get by them.
Yeah. Apparently they're allowed to do that, but it's stupid.
They're allowed to do it, but it's stupid.
It's dangerous too, I think.
Yeah, because or you'll come to a stop sign and you want to turn right and they're turning left and they'll fill the whole intersection across so you can't turn right. Stuff like that. If there's a group of cyclists, they don't. It's not a give and take thing. It's a take.
I guess.
Yeah. I'm not against cyclists. I mean,
I ride my bike. I used
to.
to ride my bike a lot.
Cyclists are great. I mean, it's wonderful to cycle, but, put a light on at nighttime, will you?
Yeah, you should have a fucking night light.
There's so many things that we can point fingers and correct on, and yet they're looking at all the wrong stuff. They're looking at all the wrong stuff. Bike lanes. I mean, when we were going down Pandora Street, there was loads of room between the cars and the parked cars for cyclists. I never had a problem with cyclists. They never had a problem with me. And then they go and spend all that money, and you can't turn right. You got to sit there and twiddle your thumbs. And what are you doing when you're sitting there waiting for the cyclist to go through, and you can't turn right on a red light?
Idling.
You're burning gas, right?
Yeah.
So what are we doing? Are we helping the environment, or are we playing a political game here?
No, that's bullshit.
Yeah. Anyway, I don't really want to get.
Do you live in Victoria?
Certainly.
Well, I don't. I'm in Saanich, right?
Yeah.
But you're in Victoria proper, right?
Yeah.
Well, you've got a by-election coming up, right? You better be careful who you vote for. I don't know the candidates, but one of them is like the bike laney, fucking greeny type bullshit. So you gotta.
Yeah.
Who's the guy that's just freaking crazy there? What's his name? ISIT.
Yeah.
One of them is like an ally of ISIT that's running. So you should do your research and vote, because that's going to affect you more than any provincial or federal election will, John.
I don't know.
Don't. It's no use. Hey, if you don't vote, you can't bitch.
No.
Right?
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. So get out there and vote.
Let me tell you a story.
Let's do it.
This is a beautiful story. I lived in Edmonton when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm. Fuck, there's a lot of Albertans in this town, man. Half the fucking guests I've had on this show are from Alberta.
So there's a large population. There was a large population of Slavic people in Edmonton, Ukrainians and Polish and stuff.
Okay.
And I'm not racist. I mean, they're wonderful people. But they, as people do, they stick together. They stick together and they support one another. Well, there was this mayor.
Sure, the Italians did the same thing.
Yeah, there was a mayor in Edmonton. This is a great story. And his name was Bill Horlock. He got voted in and became the mayor of Edmonton. Now, this is when I'm a kid, so this is a lot of money. They got him stealing $100,000 off the city.
Holy shit.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a fucking $1 million now.
So they kicked him out of office.
Okay.
And, all the people there, his supporters, there's people, he was a Ukrainian fella, and a lot of people in Edmonton, supported him because because of who he was, kind of like Donald Trump. And so he, people have reasons for supporting people.
Okay.
And he got thrown out for stealing money.
Yeah.
Ran again. He got elected.
Oh, Jesus.
So, people with normal brains were laughing about this, saying, how the fuck does that guy get elected again?
Did he steal again?
Stole again.
Are you kidding?
He got kicked out. He got reelected.
A third time?
Yes.
How the fuck does that happen?
Did the same thing, got kicked out, and a guy by the name of Mayor Dancer finally got elected on the third round.
Christ. So this guy got reelected 3 times, but on the 4th time he didn't get in.
No, he got reelected twice. Well, he got once, twice, 3 times, and then
yeah.
And so I I'm sitting at a doctor's office years later in Victoria. Here's this Maclean's magazine, and it has the complete story on him. And I kicked myself in the ass for not grabbing that magazine
and keeping that as a
memento. It's just the other thing about it was there was the Kiniski family in Edmonton. Gene Kiniski, the wrestler. They lived.
Gene Kiniski.
Yeah, they lived a couple blocks away from us.
Oh yeah.
And there's Gene Kiniski. Julian Kiniski was the weatherman on TV, and the mother. I can't remember.
What's the last name? Kiniski.
Kiniski.
Right. I remember. I watched
Kiniski.
Kiniski. Yeah. I remember watching him wrestle.
Yeah, and so
which one did he used to wrestle on? Was it the Stampede Wrestling, or what was that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It has nothing to do with my story.
Oh, okay.
Their mother, Julia Kiniski, was an alderman for Alberta. And, there was one channel on TV, CFR on TV. And when he was running for mayor the 3rd time or whatever, I remember I came home. I used to live a half a block from school, and so I came home watching TV in the rumpus room in our house. and one station, and here is this news guy in kind of a dark room, kind of just a plain room, interviewing Julia Kiniski on the TV. And she said, "That Bill Horlock," she said, "I went to London, England." She was an alderman for Alberta, and she was a real crap disturber. She was great, actually. She was really good. And she kept people on their toes, you know.
Mm.
She was, one of those. And she's on TV. And she says, "I went to London, England, and they gave us, they said that Edmonton was a twin city of London," she said. "And they gave us this chair for our mayor to sit in it, a beautiful chair, as a gift." And she looked into the camera and said, "And I don't want any goddamn crook sitting in it." You couldn't swear on TV back then.
And she said, "Goddamn crook."
Yeah. And I'm a kid. I'm looking at my TV and I said, and I went and told people about this. "Really? Did that happen?" "Yeah, I saw it." Like I think I was the only person in the world that saw it, kind of thing. I couldn't believe my eyes.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So there's politics. Politics are crazy.
Politics is crazy.
It's just,
I've told you this. I am not a Trump fan, right?
Right.
I never liked Trump before he got into the office. I didn't like him.
I didn't care for him either.
Yeah, I didn't think The Apprentice was that great of a TV show, and I don't know. I just didn't really like him. I thought he was an arrogant prick.
Yeah.
So nothing's changed. He's still an arrogant prick, but the United States, from what I remember, loved Trump.
Yeah.
His show was highly rated.
He had a show?
The Apprentice.
Oh, I don't know anything about that.
Yeah. Anyway, he had The Apprentice. I think it was called The Apprentice.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It was like a reality TV, like where people would come in and they do.
Geez,
you remember that You're Fired? That fucking thing?
I hate that shit. That's
Yeah.
probably why I never watched it.
Yeah. That's why I didn't watch it either, because I thought it was horseshit. But anyway, America loved him. America loved him. He had white, black, Jew, everything on that show. Didn't matter.
Yeah.
America loved him.
Yeah.
Gets into office. Now all of a sudden he's a racist.
They misquote him on that.
How the fuck does this work?
They misquote him on that.
And I'm not a fan. I am not a fan. But the media has painted him in such a way. He is not the way the media painted him. Yeah, he's a prick. Yeah. He's a total prick. Yeah. But he's not everything the media says he is. And that's the same with the left and the right and everyone in politics. I don't know.
He's a man's man. He's a man. He's not a politician. He's a regular guy. He's not one of these guys.
What's hilarious?
That's doing the school teacher thing. I'm here to please, like.
That whole thing when he says,
everybody.
when I want a woman, I just go up and grab her by the pussy.
Yeah.
And then there's these fucking simps going, and some people are like, "That's just locker room talk," and then other guys like, "I would never talk like that in the locker room. I would never say so." Go fuck yourself. You never talk about it in the locker room, but you're probably doing it when you're, with the bedroom doors closed. Or it's like, it's unbelievable.
Well, the thing,
unbelievable. The guy says, "I grab him by the pussy," and everyone's like, literally thinks he walks up to girls and grabs them by the pussy. Nobody fucking goes up to women and grabs them by the pussy. Well, not nobody, but very few people, and I'm sure he did. It's just guy talk. I don't know why people don't understand that and why it's become so vilified.
Because it's become the people who are in our society now. Our society is changed. It used to be run by the Christian Judeo ethic about morality. Now it's being run by the New Agers, the humanists, and they're finger pointing about everything. They're trying to clean the air the same way the Nazis tried to get rid of the Jews. It's the same principle. Let's purify everybody.
Yeah.
Let's purify. We can't allow this. We can't allow that. And we can't allow this. And it's like they're going over the top with it. They're trying to nail everybody for everything. And the news media is just having a fucking whale of a time with it.
Oh, they're loving it.
They're just loving it. I mean, they should just shut up. They just should shut up about some black guy getting stepped on, because white guys get stepped on by police too. And I agree with the people, but all this rioting and stuff like that, it's not doing, and it's because everybody gets ramped up about it. I mean, let's just relax. That shit happens to people, and of all races, white, black, everybody gets. There's brutal police out there.
Yeah. Well, it's a good police.
Yeah, but
I'm not anti-cop
I've seen it
either.
in my own life. I've seen friends pushed around and bullied by the police. I mean, that's...
Your friends were white guys, I'm
and
sure.
that guy went too far, and was it because the guy was black? I don't know if that was because the guy was black.
You had black friends?
No, but I had friends, people who've been pushed around by the police.
Right.
So, but anyway, getting back to Trump, what I really love about Donald Trump is that I'm not big on him either. I'm not an American, so I don't care.
Yeah. Well, it
But-
does matter to
But
us
when
as
he
being.
ran for president, and he said, "I'm going to clear the fucking house of all the graft," and the way he stood up and his arrogance and stuff like, I absolutely loved him, because I said to myself, and I said to other people, he is either going to show Americans how bad their politics are by being the worst, or he's going to do what he says and he's going to clean up the house. And I think he's done a little bit of both.
Yeah, right.
And so he's not a great guy, but look at the stuff he's done. The Middle East took out that terrorist. He took out that terrorist. He said, "I'm going to do it without telling anybody. I'm not going to telegraph it." But he's done everything. Just a lot of the things he had the economy going well.
Yeah, it
And-
started under Obama,
and
but
if-
it continued under Trump.
Yeah, and
Lowest unemployment rate in
and-
50 years.
and there's a lot of black people who love him.
oh, sure there is.
Yeah. So he's not. Yeah.
So I just want to
anyway-
get back to let's get back to this Black Lives Matter thing.
Oh yeah.
I don't think you're anti the movement per se.
No.
You agree with equality for all.
Yeah.
Because I don't want you to misquote yourself though. I believe in equality for all
Yeah.
for sure,
Yeah.
and I do think the blacks have been definitely mistreated in a lot of circumstances. But at the same time, I don't agree with rioting in the streets. Most of the fucking guys that are rioting in the streets are white dudes anyway.
Well, I've been told by people down there's a lot of communist element in there, and a lot of
Oh yeah, 100%.
people are paid to start that shit.
Yeah, the movement has
Yeah.
been hijacked by these assholes. Just like the homeless people in Victoria, the whole thing's been hijacked by the criminals. So you can never really know who's homeless and who isn't.
So I want to ask you something
Okay,
about all this. That guy, who's running against? I keep forgetting his name.
Biden, Joe Biden,
Joe Biden. So
Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Kamala. Fuck, I don't know. I don't want to be called a racist.
So the thing is that racism is prejudice towards somebody.
Well, racism. I think that the dictionary
I,
definition of racism was that you believe you're superior to someone based on your race. I think it's like
Okay,
you
okay.
believe you're
but
superior.
It's a prejudice. When
Yeah.
Biden turned around and called Trump a clown and a fool,
Not good.
is that not a form of prejudice? Is that not a? It's not because of his
That's
colors.
yeah. It's not racist per se. I
But
don't
it's
think.
prejudice. It's looking down at him. It's prejudice,
it is.
and it's as bad as anything. He could have said you're a, he could have said,
Well, he told the president of the United States to shut up,
yeah,
and he called him a clown,
and he called him a fool.
and he called him a fool.
So that's like that's like
It's disrespectful as a minimum.
no, but it's
Well, Biden has said some stuff in the past. It's not exactly.
that's to me
great.
that's as bad as being racist,
okay.
because he's putting Trump in a box, and he's accusations of calling him stupid. That's like saying something derogatory about a colored person.
Yeah.
He's saying something derogatory about Trump. That's a prejudice thing. If I was Trump and I was there, if it was me, I would have turned to him and say, "Who the fuck do you think you're talking to?"
Yeah, he's
You
still the
can't
president.
you can't talk to me that way.
Yeah.
That's more ignorant than anything Trump has done. That's totally ignorant. And the CNN and all those people like that, all those people in the CBC,
They're defending him.
they're not defending him. They're praising him for it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And it's just the whole thing has just gotten so stupid.
It is stupid.
I
I'm disappointed in the Democrats. If I was in the United States, I would vote Democrat most of the time, except for this election.
I don't know what I'd do, but anyway.
I wouldn't have voted for Hillary. There's no freaking way because the Clintons are criminals. But so I would have voted Trump or not voted last time at all.
Yeah.
This time I would vote Trump for sure. If the best that the Democrats can do is Joe Biden, give me a fucking break.
That's like, what was that guy that
Can't tell me that that's the best we can do.
who was that guy that ran for the NDP last time? He's now the Minister of Health or
I
something.
couldn't tell you.
Oh.
I know more about American politics than I do
No,
about our
what
own.
was his name? No, I can't think of his name. Anyway, he ran. I know his name, but I just can't think of it. Guy had a big sign. Please not the guy. Please not him.
Oh,
He was a really terrible speaker. He was just a really bad.
how long ago was this?
He ran again. He was before the guy we got now.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, I forget it. He's got glasses. He's on TV. He's a minister of. I'll think of him later. But anyway,
Sure.
and then the guy after the election said, thanks. On the Pat Bay Highway, big sign.
Yeah.
Dix was his name. Dix.
Oh, yes.
Please, not Dix.
Yeah.
Well, it's like Biden.
Yeah.
And you know what's really going to be amazing? Now look, I'm not a big Trump supporter, okay? Let's get this straight. But I'm amused by the whole thing.
It's amusing.
Just think of all the stuff that the CBC and the CNN and all that kind of stuff.
Well,
all these-
CBC's Canadian, right?
yeah, but they're anti-Trump.
Well, yeah, because they're left.
Yeah. So all the stuff that they're throwing at the brainwashing 24 hours a day on TV with the National and all their panel and all that kind of stuff. All the stuff that the CNN 24 hours a day. Trump did this. Trump's an idiot. Trump's a fool. Blah, blah, blah. What is it going to say to the world if the Americans re-elect Trump? It's going to say that the media are liars, that they are bullshitting, that they're full of shit because the people down there know who he really is, whereas Canadians don't know who he is. They see what he does for the country. They see what's going on. And if they re-elect him, there must be something to him.
Yeah.
And is that not going to fly in the face of all these assholes on TV that poo-poo Trump and laugh at him? You know, when he ran for president for the first time, the CBC was covering it. And the three people in the studio, counting the ballots and stuff, they're making jokes about Trump and laughing. Ha, ha, ha. Is that news coverage?
Nope.
Making fun of him when he's running for president. You know, is that unbiased coverage of media coverage?
No, the media is ridiculous.
Yeah. So not
This podcast is more unbiased than the media.
yeah.
For real.
Yeah.
This podcast is more unbiased. We're like, you could say you support Trump right now, and I'm not going to call you a fucking idiot because you're doing it. Right?
Yeah.
You're entitled to your
Well,
opinion.
you should see how people in Canada, my friends and family.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
They either roll their eyes or they go ballistic. They start ranting and raving about what a terrible. They hate Trump, and it's like people get really crazy about it. You know.
Yeah, I know. He is very polarizing. Very
No,
polarizing.
but it's beyond that. He's become a symbol of something that hate. Talk about hate. You know, they talk about hate. You know.
Yeah.
You know how people hate races and stuff. People hate Trump like he was some sort of.
Oh, yeah. Like he was Hitler himself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Trump is not fascist.
He's not a politician. He's just a regular guy, and he doesn't come off smooth. And he
Yeah.
says stupid stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
we all
he says
know
a
that.
lot of stupid shit.
But what is he doing politically for the country? What is he doing for the Americans?
I don't know enough, but yeah, I've heard that he's done a lot.
Yeah, I was just told recently that he had a Catholic priest come into the White House and do a what do you call it?
Like a blessing?
Exorcism in all the rooms of the White House.
Oh, yeah.
And that priest presented him with some sort of icon, Mary or something like that, and he's now having mass said once a week in the White House.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah, and he wants to get rid of. You know, he's sticking up for the people. You know, the evangelistic people there down in the United States. I mean, they're weird too. I mean, I'm a Christian, but I don't. You know, the TV evangelists. I don't go for them.
Mm-hmm.
They're over the top. Money, 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 money. But you know, he's supporting those people. He's actually trying to get prayer back in school. He's actually trying to stop long-term abortions. He's trying to do late-term abortions. He's trying to do things. He established the embassy in Israel. He's now got peace in the Middle East.
Well, not 100%, but
Not
he's working on
100%,
it.
But
he put the embassy back in Israel, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why could no other president get that done?
they didn't. I guess they didn't care to. He just made a bold move. It's a bold move. And you see, people don't. But I've been watching a thing on TV. It's a Canadian program. It's called The Prophetic Connection. Let's get into religion a little bit, just a tiny bit.
Sure.
I'm not trying to.
No, I like religion talk. It's good. It's good. As long as it's like, well, you can do whatever you want. But I don't like it when people try and push their religion on me.
No.
You know, like I got a family member and she'll say to me, Luigi, have you accepted Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior? I'm like, That's between me and the Lord.
Well,
Like,
that's
why
okay.
do I have to? I don't have to profess my faith to
No.
to you. You know
No.
what I mean?
Well, that's okay, as long as they don't, go beyond that.
I guess.
Yeah.
I guess. But if I say no, then it's like judgy. If I
Well,
say
it
yes,
it
I'm
says in the
Christ.
Bible you should profess.
I know.
So, but anyway, but the evangelistic thing, they go too far. But the thing about this thing I found really interesting, and it blows my mind, this program on TV, Prophetic Connection, they go do a weekly show in Israel. Now, according to the Bible, the Old Testament, God kicked the Jews out of Israel. It's all in the Bible. The stories, all in the Bible, how he kicked them out of their land because they weren't faithful to him, and blah blah blah, and scattered them all over the world. It says it right in the Bible, and it says that they will be persecuted and blah 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 and all that kind of stuff. And then it says, okay, watch out, people. I'm getting fanatical here, but let's look at this. It says in the Bible that in the Old Testament. Prophecies in the Old Testament and in the
Well,
Revelation.
can't say that in the Old Testament.
Yes, they prophesied Jesus coming. They prophesied all the stuff that takes place today, even in the Old Testament.
Okay.
It's there if you read it properly. And they said they talk about the fact that when there's going to be the return of Jesus Christ, okay, which is what people call the end times. We don't know when it's ever going to happen. But it says in the Bible, Jesus says, look at the weather and see, you won't know when I return, but you'll see it like you look at the wind, you'll see the signs. Mm-hmm. The Jews were out of Israel for 2,000 years. In 1948, they returned. And it says in the Bible, I will return you to Israel. I will make your country a rich, prosperous country. And when I do, that's when it's coming close to my return. In Israel, there's springs of water growing up. They're flourishing like never before. And the Jewish people are back in Israel for the first time in 1948 in 2,000 years. They're a country, and they are sitting and waiting for the return.
Okay.
And, if you look at that, it's an impossibility that they even returned. Now they have their own country again.
Yes.
And it says that in the Bible that nobody will be able to kick them off this time. That all the countries will war against them. Nobody's going to be able to kick them off. That God's going to come to their rescue. And that is really profound. I mean, it's right in front of our eyes. It's happening today.
Mm-hmm.
And
so what do you make of it all?
what I make of it all is that it's a miracle. It's a fascinating thing. I mean, we're living in a time where people who are Christians are laughed at, and we're just been pushed into the corner of the room, and we can't say anything anymore because
It's not fashionable to be Christian and white anymore.
No, but you can point fingers about racism and stuff, but you can't talk about your beliefs anymore. You can't pray in school. You can't do anything. You can't stand up in the world and say, "Hey, we're Christian. This is God." God is on the American dollar bill, and you can't. The Judeo-Christian system is just being wiped out. But the fascinating thing is that those Jewish people, just think about it, those Jewish people have returned. And they're there for the first time in 2,000 years.
Yeah, it's incredible.
And it's all predicted in the Bible. It's all said that I will return my people, and then all the nations will come against them. And they won't. That hasn't happened yet, but we're talking about Armageddon supposed to take place there, the big final battle with God, Jesus.
The end of days.
Yeah, with Jesus and his angels and stuff. This is all stuff but all the stuff that's predicted in the Bible has all come true. It's all taken process. So, I mean, you can look at it whatever way you want to look at it, but I'm fascinated by that. Just the fact that the Jewish people that's wonderful that the Jewish people are back in their own country.
Yeah. I don't know enough about that.
About what?
About the Middle East and Israel and those stories to really
they have
comment
their own
too much.
They have their own country, and then Trump moved his embassy into Jerusalem. He moved his embassy, American embassy there. That was a statement. That was a statement that nobody has done. He said, "We're recognizing you as a country, as a Jewish country." That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. But does the news talk about that?
It said something in the Bible about that. The God's glory will be shone upon him because he did that. What do you know?
Shone upon who?
On Trump. because he moved the embassy.
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, I've heard something about that. I don't either. I don't know
But
enough
the
to
Jewish
really
people, we're all chosen. We're all chosen, but the Jewish people are the chosen people originally, and like he's brought his people back into their own country.
So here's a question then: when the Old Testament was written, the Jews of those times are they not the Christians of today?
A lot of them are converting to Christianity. Some of them.
But they did, like when Christ presented himself to the Jewish people, many of them started following Christ. They chose him as the
Some
Messiah.
did, yeah, many of them turned. The Jewish religion today still believes that he hasn't come yet.
Right. Yes. No, I know. But many of the Jews turned to Christian. They turned Christian.
Yeah,
they believed that Christ was the
yeah,
Messiah.
Yeah.
Right. So
You can be both. You can be Christian and a Jew.
yes, you're Jewish forever.
They call it the completed Jew.
The completed Jew.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So what I'm saying is, if God says the Jewish people in Israel,
Yeah.
many of them would be Christians returning back to Israel,
Yeah.
still Jewish by blood,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
Christian by faith.
Yeah, and a lot of non-Jews are, can be considered the same. I mean, there's a lot. I think there's some Christian people have gone there.
Sure. It's interesting though.
Well, that's the place where it all took place.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the birthplace of the Jewish religion, Christian religion, and Islam too.
Well,
Is it
Islam
not?
came later.
It did, but in the same region though, did it
Yeah,
not?
yeah, Islam
Yeah.
came later.
Yeah.
They've only been there like 200-300 years.
No, Islam's like 1,000 years old.
No, but in Israel,
Oh, okay.
I think. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Look,
That I don't know.
I'm not a
Like a theologian or.
Christian theorist. I'm just fascinated by that aspect.
No, I enjoy the stories. I enjoy the history of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's very interesting. Why are the Jews back in Israel
I don't know.
after 2,000 years?
So are you saying, biblically speaking, if the Jews are back in Israel, then the end of days is upon us?
Yeah,
This is the beginning.
yeah.
I mean, it could be a long process. It could be 1,000-year process. We don't know. We don't know what time is something we've created. God has
There's a lot.
God doesn't know time.
There's
A second to God could be a millennium to us
Yeah.
on Earth.
There's a lot of stuff that's happening that that even Christians, you don't want to focus on the end times and say it's going to be here. It's going to be here now. We're not supposed to focus on that. We're supposed to just focus on
Living your
God,
right
on
life.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is that what was I going to say? Can I get real Catholic here?
Whatever. Yeah. Well, as long as you feel comfortable saying it, go for it.
Well,
Say
I don't
it.
know who's going to watch this, but
Well,
anyway,
someone.
I feel uncomfortable because you're not. People aren't accepted for what I'm going to say is not accepted. There was a Saint Faustina, Catholic saint in Poland, who had Jesus presented himself to her. And in the Catholic Church, they now have a picture, and you pray with this picture. And Jesus asked her to have this painting made of the water and the blood coming out of him, saying that he really died. Anyway, he showed her took her and showed her heaven and hell. It showed her visions of it. And one of the things that said that God is looking for people to receive his mercy and forgiveness, and that we're supposed to have mercy on one another, and we're supposed to open up our hearts. And in the Bible it says, in the end times, there will be lawlessness. Look around. There will be people's hearts will turn cold. And she had a vision, and she said that there's going to come a time that soon. Now she was in the 30s or something like that. That where something is going to happen in the world, like time has stood still. And people are going to see their sinfulness. They're going to look into themselves. What are we experiencing right now?
Yeah.
People are having to look at themselves and say, well, what's going on here? Look at all the stuff that this business about global warming. Is that global warming or what is it? You know, what is it? What's causing the global warming? Is it us, or maybe it's one of those signs?
Sure.
We don't know, but I'm just saying it's very interesting. The Jews back in Jerusalem. I mean, I'm not being prophetic here and saying, you know, this is going to happen. But I wonder about all that stuff.
Sure, as a
and
Christian.
I wonder how the world is going.
Yeah.
I wonder. It's changing. I mean, Christians are being kicked into the corner. And that's what this says in the Bible. We're going to get kicked into the corner. There's going to be a few of us. Everybody's going to believe in science. You know, it even says in the Bible that people will be able to travel, and they'll hear the word all over the world. You can see everything on television. So you see, everybody in the world sees what's happening in Israel. Everybody sees, we see everything that's going on. And that people will look to science and say, okay, that the reason for this global warming is because we're polluting the air. Why is it happening, really? I mean, pardon me, but we all got to shit in the toilet.
Yeah.
And so we all got to drive our cars, and we all got to do this stuff, and we are polluters. Well, is this what it was intended to be, or is it something we're doing wrong? Is it just the way the world is evolving because it's supposed to go that way, or, you know, who knows? You can cut this segment out if you want.
Why would I do that?
Well, because even most people, friends of mine who are Christian, would kind of say, "Hey, John, you're being silly."
Well, no, you're just thinking.
Yeah, I'm just
You're
thinking. I'm not saying.
You're not saying it. This is it.
No,
you're just
like
saying this is something to think about.
That's what a lot of people are saying, like the American evangelists and stuff like that. They're saying, "Oh yeah, you better get your shit together. It's the end times. It's going, you know, it could come thousands of years from now. We don't know.
We don't know. No.
But there's obviously a lot of.
Well, there's a lot of turmoil in the earth on the planet. A lot of things.
Yeah.
But it's funny about since COVID.
Yeah.
I haven't heard hardly a peep about the climate.
That's true, isn't it?
It sure is. Yeah. We were like, just before COVID, like Greta was meeting and there were rallies and everything. Everyone was going absolutely ape shit about the planet and global warming, or climate change, as they call it now. And then COVID happened, and not a single person talked about the climate anymore. Not a single person.
And you know, when they were talking about the environment and stuff like that, they're all talking about it and doing nothing about it. It's all talk.
Yeah.
It's all talk. It's all just another fashion. I mean,
well, we've talked about this. I think at the over cigars, it's like people aren't Christian anymore. Well, not a lot of people. They've lost their religion. So they instead of focusing on their religion, now they focus on the next whatever it is, the climate, racism. That's their new religion. Yeah, racism, the climate, politics, whatever that is that's their new religion.
So if it's really
social media.
So if it's really as bad as we are, as they say it is, we should stop driving cars altogether.
I don't know what the number one. I don't know what the number one polluter is. Like, is it cars? Because I mean, there was is it cars, or is it home heating, or is it industry, or is it?
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know what it is. I'd be interested to find out.
I don't know.
I mean, the initial, like the smog and the pollution right within a city, that's probably cars.
Yeah.
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 I mean, we heat our houses with natural gas and oil and electricity now. We used to heat it with wood. Can you imagine if every house in this neighborhood was burning wood right now to keep their house warm? The air would be absolutely full of smoke.
Yeah, I watched a documentary on TV. I think it was called The Human Something or Other. I can't remember the name of it. I wish I could remember the name of it. But they talked about what is being done for global warming. Like places like the United States and stuff like that, they've gone off coal for heating, but they're burning wood. They're cutting down trees and burning them just by the tons.
Really?
Yeah.
So I don't mind burning wood for fuel because it is actually a renewable resource. I just don't think we could renew the resource as quickly as we're using it up.
I don't know. It's all crazy. We're living in really crazy times. That's why I'm saying,
Something to think about, though, John.
Yeah.
The times have probably always been crazy.
Yeah,
Right?
my head spins though when I
Okay,
see.
but listen to me. Listen to me.
Yeah.
Listen to me. I'm going to try and level you out a bit here.
Okay.
The times have always probably been crazy.
Yeah.
It's just with the media, social media, the internet, we have access to the information
Yeah.
constantly now.
Yeah.
We're constantly bombarded with it. I would say that probably the Earth or the planet and society isn't any crazier now than it's ever been. It's just that we have more access to the information than we ever have, and it just seems heightened to us.
Yeah.
If I had to say
Yeah.
the best time, the best place to live would be now in Canada.
Yeah.
Like, there is no better time in our society that I know of in our written history
Yeah.
of the lack of racism, the equality men and women in all colors have today, better than ever, I think.
Yeah.
The opportunity, the standard of living, like in Canada,
Yeah.
we're doing pretty good.
Canada's pretty cool.
We're pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool. And I'd even say, in the U.S., as fucked up as things are in the United States right now, you can't say they're worse today than they were 50 years ago or 100 years ago. We've made progress.
I don't know.
Well, 100 years ago, there was still slavery in the United States.
Yeah.
So I would think, just being an uneducated person on the topic, I think it would be better today than it was 100 years ago.
Yeah. People are trying to better the world, like the racism and stuff like that. But I wish they'd just stop shouting about it all the time, because the thing about racism, it's up to you and me.
Well, yeah.
It's not for me to point at you and say, "Hey, you're a racist."
No.
That's more hate.
Yeah, I know.
So the racist thing is for you to understand that it's something that you need to change in yourself.
Yes. You can't be
You
you
can't
can't be
let-
a Christian and be racist,
you
right?
can't let- you
Would you
can't-
agree with that statement?
Yeah.
You can't be a Christian and be racist.
You can't legislate people into living righteous lives.
No, you can't. No, you can't. There's always going to be the percentage of people out there that have just got hate in their heart.
That's what they're trying to do now, is they're trying to legislate it. They're trying to tell people how they should do this and how they should do that and stuff. It's got to come from within.
Yes.
And so, I don't know. There's still people who hate.
There's going to be people. There's still people that hate. There's always going to be people that hate. But I'd say, in general, as a society, we're just doing so much better now than we
But
ever
all
have.
it takes is a movement through society, neo-Nazism or whatever. All it takes is a movement to suddenly become fashionable for people to say it's okay to do this.
Yeah,
It's okay.
that is true.
It's okay to do this.
Yeah.
And so, you can persecute not just racial people. You can persecute people for what they believe. You can persecute people for all sorts of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And all it takes is to say, he's a fool, he's a clown.
Yeah.
And everybody jumps on the bandwagon. Oh, he's a fool, he's a clown. I mean, that's exactly what they've done to Trump. They haven't given him, they don't, sure, Trump's an idiot, but because he's not a smoothie politician. So, okay. Our liberal leader there, Campbell, he went down to Hawaii, got drunk in a car and all that kind of stuff. And he had a woman with him. The press hid that, but he had a woman with him.
Mm.
And when he was back up on camera, his wife was giving him dirty looks and stuff. But, he had a woman with him and stuff like that. And, why didn't they try and kick him out? Why didn't they try? Because he did that terrible thing. We're human. Donald Trump is human. It's what he's doing. And people say, well, he shouldn't perform like that in public. Well,
He shouldn't.
he shouldn't, but he's not a politician. He's a guy that's trying to straighten things out the way he thinks they should be straightened out. And you got to give him a little bit of slack, whether he's right or wrong. You got to say, okay. But to sit and, I talk to people. I talked to my sister in Edmonton and, people like that, they just go on and on and on, and they quote the stuff they hear on the CNN, and they quote all this stuff. Oh man, like a lady. I was watching CNN after the talk there, the president's
The debate?
and it was on CNN. They had a black woman who was a Republican, and she said, you guys, she said, people Trump can give a 20-minute talk, and the media will take 2 words out of that talk and turn it all around on him.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, if you really listen to everything closely, what he's saying, like when he said that thing about stand back, and he meant didn't mean stand to the racist guys, the white supremacists. He didn't mean stand back, I'm on your side. He meant stand back and let the police take care of it. He wasn't saying one way or another that he was. And he said, when they first asked him, "Are you against them?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm against anything that's not peaceful." You know, he's trying to be straight about the fact that he's not name calling. He's saying if that's bad, it's bad. I'm not for anything that's not good. He's not jumping on that bandwagon, that kind of finger pointing where you pick on one kind of. If you're not living a good life, whether you're a white supremacist, or whatever you are, if you're not living a good life and treating other human beings properly, then it's wrong.
Sure, I could agree with that.
And so, like, what's with all this business about, these guys burning, getting rid of the police? Oh man, getting rid of the police. The police have a job to do. Sure, there's a few bad eggs. There's always been bad policemen. But we have to eliminate them because...
Well, eliminating the police isn't going to work.
Mm-mm.
I mean, defunding the police is not going to work, in my opinion. I think we need to put more money towards the police, training.
Yeah, and so
more training, better cops, better screening.
Yeah, things are becoming too liberal. Like, I've heard, and I don't know, I can't quote anybody, but I've been told by people that in California, they passed a law, and it's going through the Senate right now in California to legalize oral and anal sex between a man and a boy, that if it's consented.
Mm-hmm. At a young age, right?
Yeah. If it's consented, it's going to become legal.
Yeah.
What's next?
Oh, I know.
What's next? That's all the liberalism that we're talking about.
Yeah, but that's like, they're talking about the age of like 4 or 5 or something.
I don't know what age.
It's really young.
So like
it's insanity.
Yeah, so like that's become a trend now that you want to get, we've liberated the gays and we've liberated this. Now we're going to liberate
pedophiles.
How far is it going to go?
I don't know.
You see, and then the next thing you know, they'll be burning books and stuff like the Nazis. You can't think this way and you can't think that way and you can't, it's getting so crazy with the finger pointing. I just don't understand it.
Yeah, I don't think you educate people or enlighten people by shutting them down. You expose them to good ideas.
One-on-one.
Yeah, good ideas.
One-on-one. If I see you being racist, I say to you, hey, Louis, that's not cool.
Yeah.
Educate yourself. Understand it. I don't come screaming at your door and start
beating it down
and protesting your house and stuff like that. That just causes more chaos.
Yeah. Causes you to get dug in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways.
We were talking about fucking stereos.
We were talking about stereos. Oh God. I wasn't too happy about some of the latter part of our discussion.
Why?
Because I'm being a little too open for criticism from anybody who watches.
Well, you are opening yourself up to criticism, but the one thing I can say by knowing you is that you don't have hate in your heart, right? And
I hope not.
No, you don't.
I think we all do. But
we all do, but it's obvious you're just trying to lead a good life.
Yeah.
And times are complicated, and we're expressing ideas and thoughts, and we're just trying to make sense of things. You know?
Yeah.
We're not running around saying we're better than anybody, and
No.
You're not.
I'm just
Most
saying
definitely
a lot
not.
of it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah, it's very difficult to wrap my head around what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, people protesting about all that stuff, that's a crazy action in itself.
Yeah. I guess we need things
Black
like
matters and stuff like that. Of course, black matters, but standing out and shouting about it and rioting and stuff like that, what does that do?
Yeah, I don't know.
Doesn't do a thing.
No. I think that the Black Lives Matter movement's kind of been hijacked by
Somebody.
these Antifa guys or whoever the fuck they are, or just
Yeah.
criminals in general that want to take advantage of the protest and loot and rob and cause havoc, I think it's sad for the Black Lives Matter people, the people that want to try and bring attention and awareness to the problems in the United States and the world, the racism against blacks. I feel bad for those people because this whole kind of movement has kind of been hijacked on them, you know?
Yeah.
And like the environment.
I think
the environment's been hijacked by politicians. You know.
The black thing has come a long ways in the United States.
Oh yeah, like I was saying, I think we're living in a better time now and a less racist time now than we ever have. We can improve.
And they're just bashing, like to make a point, and we all know what the point is. We all know that we shouldn't be racist.
Yeah, well, not all of us, but most of us.
Most of us do.
Yeah, yeah. No, I don't think you're off base. I think we just need to try and discuss things, talk about them, and people can comment if they wanted to on this video. And if someone else has someone else sees this and says, we were off base on something, then they can reach out to me and I'll have them on. They can enlighten me and we can learn.
Yeah.
Right?
I suppose, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the last thing I'd want to hear is someone saying, "Oh, we're a bunch of fucking idiots that don't know what we're talking about." Maybe we don't, but that's not the way to say it. The way to say it is to come on and tell us why we don't know what we think we do, and explain it to us in a way that can make us understand.
Right. Yeah, I'm not saying
that's the way you get your point across.
I'm not saying I'm right in any direction.
No.
I'm just saying I don't understand.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't understand people, like people who do things.
Yeah.
And so politically, how people react and do things, I don't understand. The grassroots of the thing is that don't be racist. I mean, that's...
Well, be a good person. Yeah, be a good person, accept everyone.
But I guess
we're all brothers and sisters.
But I guess the society is dealing with a lot of extremists. So, I don't know. There's a lot of extremists out there.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with that? It's a difficult world. It's a really difficult... Nobody's ever going to fix it.
No. They'll never be fixed 100%, but I think we could live more harmoniously than we are now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when I was young, somebody from California, a relative, coming to me and telling me, I was shocked. This is a relative. And she had a position, a high position in a hospital. She was a head nurse. And she said, "You don't understand about those blacks. They're lazy and all this kind of stuff and blah, blah, blah." And she was talking right into my face. I couldn't believe what she was saying.
Yeah.
But she lives in L.A. I don't live in L.A.
Yeah.
So, it's like people get these ideas from where they are.
Yeah.
And so we don't have, Canada's pretty much integrated.
Yeah.
But it's always been down in the U.S. It's always been a situation.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough to hear shit like that. Because people have generalized about Italians all the time, right?
Oh, yeah.
And I don't like it.
I grew up in Edmonton, and people used to laugh at the Ukrainian people. And it's funny. You can laugh at the Ukrainians. For instance, they were different because they come from another country, and they talk different, and they did things different. They go into stores and they'd look for bargains, and they'd always whatever. They had a kind of a comical kind of character to them because they hadn't quite now they're all. But
now they're all integrated.
But when you sit down with somebody, say if I say, oh, the Ukrainians are a bunch of idiots or whatever, or the Polish or the Germans or the English or whatever you want to say, but if you sit down and talk to somebody, or if I say I don't like Chinese people because I'm a racist toward Chinese people, and if I'm sitting here talking to a person who's Chinese, how do I see that person? So we can hate things as a group thing, we hate a race. But when it comes right down to it, when you meet with somebody from that race, they're no different than we are.
No, I know. It's funny, eh?
It's just, I don't know why people get worked up about stuff like that. I just don't know why they draw the line between we're better than you.
Yeah.
I could never understand that in my whole life.
Yeah. I
mean, you can hurt people so easily in life. I mean, we get hurt really easy. We're very sensitive. We're human. And to pick on somebody for any reason it's something's wrong with that person that does that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's not
we all want the same thing, right? We all want to be able to take care of our families,
live a good life,
live a nice life, contribute.
Yeah.
I think, most of us want the same things.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Want a little place we can call home.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's it. I think we all want the same things.
Yeah,
It's sad that we would want to keep those things away from a certain group based on the color of their skin.
we're all the same.
Yeah.
We're all the same. We're
Yeah.
human beings. We're all the same.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of racial stuff comes about from cultural. It's a cultural thing. I mean, I think people hate races because of their culture, not because of the color of their skin or whatever. They just see something in them they don't like, and they generalize it. And they say, okay, culturally, I don't
Culturally, we are different because we grew up in different places and have different traditions.
I don't
right?
like the way that somebody looks, or I don't like the way.
Yeah. It's neat to experience other people's culture, though. I think once you're exposed to another person's culture, there's lots of cool stuff you can take away from that.
Well, like my wife said to me recently, we get in discussions and we tease each other about being racist and stuff like that, and what's going on, and we joke about, oh, you're a racist and stuff like that. If you say something that isn't politically correct, which we all do in private sometimes, we say something silly, jokingly or whatever. I mean, she said about the Muslims and people in Canada, she said, I love to see them on the streets. I love to see they're dressed different than we are. I love to see the fact that they're more colorful than we are. I love to see the fact that they're, that they, there's something about them that's unusual. I never heard anybody talk like that. And she made perfect sense.
Yeah, right.
Does the average person see other cultures that way? The clothes they wear, the way they dress?
That's something interesting.
Yeah. So, and they still have the same body and flesh that we do. So
yeah. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
We're still, again, like you said, we're all human.
So I mean, but the thing is, it just gets carried too far. Within the white race, we can make jokes about the Irish, and we can make jokes about the Scottish, and we can make jokes about about the Germans and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But you go into a color area, and you're really offending somebody.
Yeah, right.
So we can stay within. We can make jokes about but we shouldn't make jokes about the Scottish or the Irish, but we do.
Yeah.
And a lot of people will just say, "Oh, yeah, he's just razzing me about my nationality or whatever." But when it comes to hate, that's different.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know where it's going. I hope it gets better.
I think it will get better. I'm an optimist.
Yeah.
A bit cynical sometimes.
Yeah.
But I'm optimistic. I think that things will get better. I really, truly do.
Yeah. Well,
I think that the world in general, race relations, the environment, our standard of living, health.
Yeah,
I think a lot of those things are going to get better.
I think what is really beautiful is that if you notice that if you take, like, my wife's half Italian, she's not full Italian, but she looks very Italian. Some people think she's native, but my children turned out really beautiful. And if you look at people that join two races together,
oh, it's great.
They have beautiful children.
Yeah, I know.
So I would love to see the racial thing where people come to North America and we intermarry and start a new race. Start people who are Canadian, who are, who aren't necessarily staying in their own segment.
Yeah. I think that will happen with time, right?
They tried to do that with the United States. It's supposed to be a melting pot. And Canada, they're talking about, oh, no, you got to keep your identity.
More mosaic, yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's a good idea.
It's hard to know.
I'm asking. I'm not pointing a finger. I'm just saying I don't know whether that's a good idea. But when I saw a Caucasian guy walking down the street with a Chinese girl, and I looked at my wife, and they're crossing across. I said, "Look at that! Isn't that beautiful?" Because people are, they're crossing the borders that way.
Yeah.
That's what ends racism.
Yeah.
When you fall in love with somebody who's not the same color as you are.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll all be the same one day, right? Eventually.
Yeah.
We'll all intermix enough. We'll all be one person.
And when we leave this world, and supposedly if you're a Christian, you go to heaven or whatever.
Yeah.
We'll all be there.
Yeah.
We're all God's creatures. Every one of us.
Yeah.
And
once we get up to heaven,
he loves all of us.
We don't see color no more.
No, he loves all of us.
Yeah, regardless. Yeah.
So, it's just the crazy people. It's just people who...
I think you always have those people on the fringes,
Yeah.
And right now, the people on the fringes, on the left and the right, are the ones getting the attention.
I'm getting a little bit cold here.
Yeah. So they're the ones getting the attention. I think that the majority, it's the silent majority. It's everyone in the middle. It's probably 95% of the people are in the middle.
Yeah.
It's just a few percent on each side that are getting the attention right now.
Exactly. And so to go crazy about something that happens with the police, I mean, that the police shouldn't do that.
The police can do better.
They shouldn't do that to anybody.
Yeah, the police can do better, and they will do better.
Yeah.
They will do better.
Yeah.
But they need to do better. They need to figure out how to do better.
I mean, that was terrible with that cop standing on that guy's
Oh,
head.
fuck.
And I was told by somebody, and I don't know whether this is true or not, but I was told that there was 2 black cops there.
There was. But I think that's...
And
there was a black cop. Was it a black cop and a Chinese cop? I don't know.
But they didn't stop the guy.
No, they didn't, because and then that's what people were arguing is this, because the blues stick together regardless of their race.
And he was known for being brutal cop. He had strikes against him for doing brutality.
Oh, he was sick.
Yeah.
He had problems.
So,
yeah. So they should have exactly. So they should have gotten rid of him long ago.
Could that have been a white guy that he was stepping on?
It could have been anybody. I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't think it was necessarily race related. It's just he was a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And that poor guy was helpless.
Yeah, and the guy, maybe there was a racial component there.
There could have been. We don't.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
There probably was some sort of a racial component there.
Was.
Yeah.
But
he's just a piece of shit cop.
Yeah, I can. If I'm a cop and I can step on your head because I don't like your nose.
Yeah, that ain't no fucking good, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we need to get rid of cops like that and put good cops in. Like I said, I think they'll do better.
Aren't they abolishing police forces in the United States?
I don't think they can. I don't know. I don't think you can abolish a police force.
Yeah.
You know, everybody hates the police until they fucking need them. Like when somebody breaks into my house or busts into my cigar store at 3 a.m. in the morning, the people that are there are the police.
And then the police are useless anyway.
Well, they don't do much, but at least you know what? At least the person that's breaking in knows they only have a couple of minutes to ransack my store rather than a couple of hours. Yeah. They're in and out. They do not minimal. They do damage, but the last time I got broken into at 3:30 in the morning, the police were there when I showed up.
Yeah.
Right? The police were there within 5 or 6 minutes.
That's great.
And minimized the damage that the person breaking in did.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah. They got their hands tied.
They did something for me.
They got their hands tied. There's not enough of them. And they can't cover.
They're overworked.
They can't cover all the bases.
No, they're overworked for sure. They get tired, and that's when mistakes happen, and they need more training.
And there's a few bad cops.
Oh yeah, there's always bad cops. Always going to be bad cops.
Like when my car got stolen.
But there's bad people everywhere.
Yeah.
There's bad cigar store owners. Does that mean we abolish cigar stores?
That's what I'm trying to. That's what's
there's bad politicians. There's bad, firemen. There's bad doctors. There's bad restaurant owners.
Exactly.
We don't abolish them all. We get rid of the bad ones, and we put in good ones.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you can't get. I don't understand how we get rid of the police.
Yeah,
police do a lot of good too. A lot of good.
Oh, no doubt.
No doubt. But they're people like us too. That's the thing too, right?
Yeah.
They're just like you and I. They're like everyone else walking on the streets. They just want to go home to their wives and kids and try and make a living for themselves. They're not trying to go out there and wreak fucking havoc. Yeah, there's always going to be the 1% that are.
I could tell you a story. Like one time, I went to a fish and chip store.
I got to edit out your burp.
My wife laughed about this. She laughs about this. I won't tell you where, but I went into a fish and chip store, and I'm gluten free, so I can't eat fish and chips. But I was going in to buy some French fries.
You can eat the fish without the batter.
Yeah, I was going in to buy some French fries. And I took a ticket.
Yeah.
It's my turn next, right? I took a ticket, and I ordered some French fries. And the place was fairly busy. There's people who are waiting and stuff. I'm waiting for about 10 minutes for my order.
Yeah.
A couple come in and take a ticket, and they order fish and chips after me. The guy, another 10 minutes goes by. He serves them their fish and chips, and out the door they go. And I said to the owner, I said, "What the fuck is that?" They came in after me. Just because I order a lowly order of French fries, doesn't my order come first? Oh, yours is coming. I said, "Forget it." And I walked out. And he kind of came up after the street with me with some French fries. So, there I took offense to him.
Yeah.
So it's really easy to take offense to people if they don't do what you want. You can get pissed off at a waiter in a restaurant and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So there's so many ways.
In that guy's defense, you don't know what happened, right? Could have been a lot of things that
Well,
happened.
I think he was just kind of...
He didn't like the look at you?
No, I think that he thought my lowly order of French fries wasn't making them.
It could be.
He wanted to serve the other
It
customer
could be,
first.
but maybe not. Maybe he lost the
But why-
order. Maybe I mean,
well,
I worked in the restaurant business. He could have lost the order. He
Well,
could have
why
burnt
did-
your fries. He
Oh,
could have
no,
done lots
no,
of
there's
things.
just 2 or 3 people in the store.
Okay.
And why do you have to take a ticket to take it? Like that ticket meant nothing. So there's so many easy ways that you can get irate about people. It doesn't have to just be racist. I mean, somebody does you something wrong. A friend of mine, you remember Jim?
Mm-hmm.
He owned a couple of restaurants. And he had a great sense of humor. He was a very intelligent man. He said to me one day, he said, Johnny, he said, you only get, as a restaurant owner, you only get one chance to piss off a customer.
Yeah.
And it's true. And people will go into a restaurant and they'll harass a waitress.
Oh, I hate that.
And complain and try and get them fired or whatever because they did something, and you go and complain to the manager, that waitress, you're
fucking with someone's life.
You're fucking with somebody's life just because he didn't like one little moment with them.
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So
I know,
if
it's terrible. I hate that.
If I complain about
Again, that waitress or waiter is just trying to make a living
Yeah.
and taking care of themselves. And some days, you know what? We have bad days.
yeah, and so
Some days your server is gonna, you know what? Maybe she had a fight with her boyfriend. Maybe her kid kept her up all night, and she's exhausted. She's on 2 hours sleep.
Yeah.
Maybe she's in an abusive relationship. You don't know
Ashes
what.
everywhere.
Yeah, I know. Whatever. You don't know what's going on in her life. Cut people some fucking slack.
Louis, this is a great cigar.
I know it's a good cigar, right? But you know what I'm saying? Cut them some slack. Cut them some slack. You don't know what's going on in their lives.
That's right.
Just because they don't answer you properly or do the job properly for a couple minutes doesn't mean that person should get fired and thrown out onto the street.
So the point I'm getting around to is that prejudice towards a waitress is the same kind of thing. It's based on the same kind of mechanism in us as we have for racism. If somebody does something we don't like, or we don't something, we become mean about it, mean-spirited.
Yeah, I mean, people will argue that the race thing is different because there was a time
Well,
that
it
was
is
systemic.
it is different. It is different essentially, but from the person who's committing the crime against the waitress or committing the crime against the person who's black, they're doing it for the same reason. They don't like that person, or they don't like what they did, or they're finding fault in them.
Yeah.
And so
Okay.
we're all capable of that. And
We have to check ourselves though.
We
Next
gotta-
time you're in a restaurant or you're with someone that doesn't do something you like,
well,
you gotta check yourself.
You gotta have some kindness towards people.
Yeah. Yeah. There was a person outside of the liquor store, not a customer of ours, just someone, and she was freaking out.
Yeah.
Freaking out. Happened about a month ago. Freaking out. Yelling at the cars going by, crying, throwing
the
things.
customers?
No, not a customer. Just someone walking down the street.
Yeah, she probably has some sort of mental illness.
Possibly. I think she was just hammered, drunk, and depressed and angry. And she threw her sunglasses at a car going by, and I walk out there. She kicked over the sign, right? My sandwich sign. So I walked out there and I lifted my sign up, and I walked into the middle of the street and picked up her sunglasses and handed them back to her.
How did she take that?
She didn't know what to do. She didn't know what to do because she was like, I kicked your sign down. I'm yelling and screaming, and you're still being nice to me.
Yeah.
I just had a moment there where I was like, you know what? I'm gonna, instead of going out there and yelling at this person and telling them to fuck off, I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna be helpful.
Yeah.
Made a big difference. Difference.
One of the coolest things I ever saw, Werner, we were at your store. That's a long time ago, and I won't tell you what we're doing there. But we were at your store, and we're looking out the window, and some girl came along with a bicycle and parked it at a meter, and it had some sort of a backpack or something on the back of it. And about 5 minutes later, some guy came along and was stealing
Stealing the pack.
whatever it was on the bicycle. Werner walked out on the street, grabbed the guy by the neck, and grabbed him by the neck and threw him forward. Didn't throw him down or anything. Wasn't brutal to him. Just grabbed him by the back of the neck and said, "Hey, get out of here. You shouldn't be doing that."
That's nice.
I thought that was beautiful.
Yeah.
That Werner's a great guy.
He is. Yeah, he is a good guy.
Yeah, I was really touched by that he had enough care to go out and do that. How many people would do that?
Yeah, not many.
Standing up for somebody. That's what you call standing up for somebody who is being abused.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. So the next time we see someone treating someone like a second-class citizen or being an asshole towards someone, then it's up to us to stand up to them and say, "Hey, check yourself."
Yeah, it's not up to us to stand in the streets and riot about it.
No, I agree with that. This rioting thing is fucking insane.
Yeah.
But when you see someone treating someone badly, it's everyone's responsibility to call them out.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Straighten them up.
Yeah, like my son, he's he talks to me about this stuff. And he says, we're trying to change the world for my children.
Sure.
He said to me, your generation was racist and so on and stuff. We were. My parents were incredibly racist.
Yeah.
And the old people.
My parents weren't.
Oh, my people. I used to drive old people in my bus. In my handy dirt bus.
My parents were immigrants to this country, so they were racist. Racism was being perpetrated against them.
Yeah.
So much as more so than them being racist towards others. They were just happy to be somewhere where they could. Well, my dad especially, where you could work and eat and live and have a family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Did anybody treat him poorly because he was Italian?
Yeah. Yeah, it happened.
Yeah. I can believe it.
Most certainly happened.
Yeah, I can believe that.
Yeah.
Did I ever tell you?
Even my mom. Yeah.
Did I ever tell you, Louis, that I'm an Italian wannabe?
Oh, are you? I didn't know that.
Oh, I love Italians because of the things they create. I love the people the way because you look at Ferrari and Ducatis and stuff like that. I'm not a motorcycle or car guy, but when I walk by a Ferrari in the street, I think, those bloody Italians, they just,
they do know a few things.
They used to make beautiful shoes. Remember they used to make, and all the great art and stuff. Like the Italians.
They did some good stuff there, didn't they? Yeah.
And I remember a friend of mine went to Italy one time. And I said, "What was it like over there?" He said, "Well, half the Italians over in Italy are just like us, and the other half are crazy." Because they're so emotional. They're so, they're so, I just think Italian people are wonderful.
Cool. They're okay.
Yeah.
They got good ones and bad ones, like
I'm not trying to suck up to you. I say that to anybody. I say that to anybody.
I know. There's good ones and there's bad ones.
I think it's just a very colorful
they're very
colorful
culture, yeah, very passionate.
Oh yeah, they're crazy about women and they all that stuff. But they're artistic. I mean, you look at the Ferrari. How many cars have the Corvette was a copy of a Ferrari? The style. It's not about. I'm not so impressed by the performance of a car like Ferrari as I am the look of it.
No, Ferrari, there's way faster cars than Ferraris.
But they're so beautiful.
They are beautiful to look at. They're
beautiful.
Painfully beautiful.
The older ones, the way they're sculpted.
It almost makes you cry. They're so beautiful.
And nobody else, the Germans and the English tried to imitate the styling of the cars. They did a pretty good copycat job. But, the Aston Martin.
Yeah, I was reading the article about what car was it? It could have been the 250 GTO or something, and someone wrote that it was painfully beautiful. Like, that says something, right? So beautiful that it actually hurts your heart. That's the way those cars can be. If you're into cars and you see an old classic Ferrari, those lines, they bring an emotion into your body. Like, there's something about them. I don't even understand how to describe it. They're absolutely incredible.
It's things like that. The things are like this functional beauty too. Like my turntable. It looks kind of weird. It's just kind of, but it's beautiful when you really look at why the guy designed it and stuff. And so I remember seeing one of those GTO cars you're talking about, Ferrari, that was worth over $1 million. I think it was. I don't know if it was an original, but it was at a car show at. That place that
here in Victoria,
at that on Arbutus Road there, where that
was that St. Anne's?
No, on Arbutus Road, the
the kids' hospital there. What do they call that?
They had a show there one day, and they had that GTO.
See, now,
and I was looking.
Alexandria, yeah,
I was
what
looking
the-
at the GTO, and I was thinking
No, they didn't have a 250 there.
they did when I was there.
A 250? Are you sure?
Positive.
I don't know.
went
I've
there
never seen one on the
I s-
island.
I just went there especially to see it, and somebody said it might have not have been an original. It might have, but I looked at the thing, and do you know what struck me about it? Mostly is like the dash had like plain aluminum metal with how you get those kind of cross line, like
Yes,
it's kind
it
of
was
checker,
machined.
and it just looked beautiful. It was so functional looking, and yet it was beautiful at the same time. It wasn't mass produced. It was like somebody hammered that thing out.
Yeah.
Somebody made that thing.
Yeah. It's like a beautiful woman. There's no explaining it,
Yeah.
but it's just when you see it, you know
And
it.
I have actually seen Ducati. I saw one in town. You know that one that has a gas can, the gas tank, and it looks like somebody's smashed it with a hammer, and he said it kind of goes dented in.
Yeah, maybe the Monster.
No, not the Monster.
I don't know my Ducatis very
900
well.
or something like that. And
Yeah,
it had,
99
and
something,
I stood there for 10 minutes and just looked at the gas tank, how beautifully it was shaped. It looked like somebody had just hit it with a hammer on either side. It was designed to look that way.
Yeah.
And it was just absolutely gorgeous.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, John Anderson. That was that went places.
We went all over the place.
Did we ever?
You know what my fantasy was?
No.
I did a little bit of it. My fantasy was I'd come here and get you to talk about you instead of me. I did a little bit.
Yeah.
Because interview the.
So I'm gonna get
interview the interviewer.
I'm gonna get someone, and we're gonna switch seats,
Yeah,
and I'm gonna sit there, and I'm gonna have someone interview me.
I think that would be a great idea.
I was supposed to do that, right? I think I've talked about this before on the podcast. I was supposed to do that. I was supposed to have this guy who I talked about. I said, interview me, and then I'll talk about my business and my the life I've lived so far and what I'm doing and what I've done, and that'll be my premiere show. Like that'll be the first show, so people can get a sense of who the host is.
Yeah,
And then I'll start doing these interviews, right?
yeah.
But it was taking too long, and I just wanted to get started.
What was taking too long?
For him to come and interview me, right? So I was like, this is ridiculous. I want to get started.
Yeah.
So let's just I'm just gonna start, So I just started doing them, and I haven't got to that one yet. But we'll get to that.
I think that would be the best one.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, what the fuck do I?
There was that
I
movie.
mean, my story's okay, but
I don't know if we're supposed to quit now, but there
we
was
don't have to quit anytime.
there was a movie about Mr. Rogers.
Mm-hmm.
He was a really beautiful person,
He was.
and I don't know if you saw the movie or not.
I have not.
And I think it's
But
called
I watched.
the documentary.
No, I watched the show.
Yeah, but this movie
What
was
the hell was the show called? What was his show called?
in the neighborhood or whatever.
Yeah.
I never watched it.
Oh, I did all the
But
time.
I watched this movie about him.
Yes, I know the movie. Tom Hanks.
No, I don't know. Is it Tom Hanks?
Tom Hanks. Yeah, Tom Hanks plays
a long
Mr.
time ago.
Rogers.
Yeah. What the movie was about was not about Mr. Rogers.
No?
It was about the guy who interviewed him. And what happens in the movie, it's an incredible movie. What happens in the movie is that, you know how Mr. Rogers was teaching children about life.
Yes. Life lessons.
This guy, about inner and outer, and who you are as a person. This guy that was interviewing was really not doing well because he had a rift between him and his father for years.
Mm.
And this is true, it's a true story.
Okay.
And what took place was it kept showing this guy meeting with Mr. Rogers, and Mr. Rogers just kept talking about him, the interviewer. He kept putting it back on him. Found out that his father and him had. They had a falling out. They didn't like each other. In the process of him interviewing Mr. Rogers, he healed the guy. He healed him. He got him back with his father, and at the end of the movie, he goes and visits his father.
Neat.
Yeah.
Do I need healing? Probably.
Yeah. And he was all about talking about forgiveness and stuff like that.
That's nice.
And I forget what he's at the end of the movie. He whispers something into the father's ear, and the guy, as they're going out the door, asks him what he said. I forget what he said to the father, but he said something really profound, really profound. And it's just a really good movie. I should see it again. I don't know what it's called, whether it's called In the Neighborhood or whatever it's called. But
Yeah, but we all know the movie.
yeah. But he healed the guy, healed his life, brought him and his father together.
I'll have to check out the movie.
Just by talking to him and saying, "Hey, look."
I think it's on like Amazon or Netflix or something.
Really
right
good,
now.
really good movie. Mr. Rogers was an incredible person, beautiful human being.
Did they touch on the speech he gave to the Senate?
I think
about keeping the funding to public television.
I think
because he was on PBS.
I think they touched on that.
Yeah.
I got a terrible memory for stuff. I've seen so many movies.
Did they talk about the time when he had the black man on the black man on the show, and didn't he wash his feet on the show or something?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah, it was very interesting. He was a very forward-thinking man.
He was incredible.
Yeah, he was.
Absolutely, and he was about healing and forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're here for. We're here to show compassion for one another, love one another.
Yeah.
Our society's forgetting about that. You don't heal racism by getting up in arms about it. I mean, Gandhi said it.
Yeah, you love the sinner. You don't love the sin.
Yeah.
But you still love the sinner.
Yeah, Gandhi said it all. Gandhi was a wonderful person for like stand up for what is right, but don't be violent about it.
Mm.
So yeah, there's a lot to be learned by guys like that.
Yeah.
I'm just such a perfect host, aren't I? I'm so proud of myself.
You mean guest? I'm the host.
I mean, I'm a guest. I'm just so I've got all the right answers.
Oh yeah.
I don't mean to be.
I
don't mean to be like that. But
no. You're not coming across as having the right answers. You're just coming across as thinking.
Yeah.
Which is good. It's good.
Yeah.
It's good to know you think once in a while. We like to toss shit at you.
You learn stuff as you get old.
Yeah.
I mean, in my old age, I never thought I'd be saying this, but man, oh man, nothing in life ever turns out the way you expect it to be.
No. This is an interesting podcast. The title, I'm not sure what the title's going to be, but...
do you give it a title?
Yeah, I do. I do give them titles. But this is interesting because this is life and how it relates to the turntable.
The only good turntable is a dead turntable.
Yeah. Same with politicians.
Remove the contaminants. What's contaminating whatever it is?
Yes.
The removal of contaminants.
Is that what? Is that?
I'm just being silly.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sounds good, buddy. All right. That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
Okay,
let's shut this thing off.
Yeah, we're done. That's it. It's still recording, but we're done. I'll cut it now.
Hi, Mom.